Chapter 1877. When the guards at the Age of Immortals entrance saw Yi Wanwan and her group appearing suddenly, they immediately received her in surprise. "Hello, Director Yi." "Hello." Yi Wanwan smiled at them. The security looked flattered, as though they were dreaming. Yi Wanwan was the top boss of Stars Corporation. It was extremely difficult for even international superstars to see Yi Wanwan. They couldn't see her whenever they pleased. "Is CEO Yi here?" Yi Wanwan asked. "Huh. Aren't you Director Yi L?" An employee blurted out automatically but realized something was amiss, so they immediately corrected themselves. "Oh, you're referring to Yi Mufan, so Yi, he's here. He's here, I'll bring you to him." "Sure." Yi Wanwan nodded. Soon, Yi Wanwan entered the Age of Immortals canteen. Aside from Yi Mufan, Jiang Yanran, Gong Su, Luo Chun, Han Xianyu, and Chu Feng, who she hadn't seen for a long time, were also present. They were sitting at the same table and eating the company canteen's food. "Damn, Brother Yi." Gong Su was the first to see Yi Wanwan and shot up excitedly at once. "Wanwan, why are you here?" Yi Mufan immediately put down a half-chewed pig's foot and reflexively wiped the grease on his hands on his clothes. "Fuck me. The expensive suit I just bought." Yi Mufan looked like he ate shit as he stared at the grease stains on himself. Yi Wanwan thought. "Wasn't it you who smeared that grease stain a second ago?" "You're all eating." Big Dipper swaggered up and nonchalantly sat down next to Jiang Yanran. "Hello. I think that's my seat." The pushed-away Chu Feng stared at Big Dipper baffled. Seeing as it was someone brought there by Yi Wanwan, Chu Feng couldn't blow up rashly. "What's that about your seat, my seat? Your name isn't on it. Chap, aren't you too tactless? Shoo, go sit somewhere else, right? Goddess?" Big Dipper turned to Jiang Yanran toward the end. "Jiang Yanran. Sis Wanwan." The bewildered Chu Feng immediately turned to Yi Wanwan. What was happening? Big Dipper. Yi Wanwan shot Big Dipper a displeased look. Chu Feng was Jiang Yanran's proper boyfriend, and they were about to get engaged. Why was he trying to butt in? Seven Star expressionlessly walked toward Big Dipper before he could speak, and picked him up before aloofly turning to Chu Feng. "Sit." Chu Feng sat back down dazedly. Just what was happening? Old Seven, are you a freaking human? How could you separate me from my goddess? Tell me, did you take a fancy to my goddess? Big Dipper was brimming with resentment. "Big Dipper, this is Chu Feng, Jiang Yanran's boyfriend." Yi Wanwan was forced to tell him the truth. Big Dipper looked at Chu Feng in immense shock and disbelief. "Damn. No way. How is that possible? Punk, get up. I'm going to fight with you. We'll sign a life and death pact." Chu Feng's lips twitched. He didn't seem too willing to pay attention to Big Dipper. "Damn, Punk, can't you freaking give us a break? Yanran is about to get engaged. What fuss are you making?" Yi Mufan glanced at Big Dipper. Many managerial positions are just shortened to Manager XXX. In Chinese, when addressing someone regardless of whether they are CEO, Director, President, etc. Chapter 1878. I don't care. I won't accept it. Gong Su, my bro, help me punch him. Big Dipper's gaze landed on the audience member, Gong Su. Bro Big. Gong Su looked trapped. He was friends with Chu Feng, so how could he shamelessly beat Chu Feng? Plus, Chu Feng didn't do anything. Can't you be more promising? Seven Star turned to Big Dipper. That's right, Bro Big. As they say, there's plenty of fish in the sea. So why are you so hung up on one fish? The ancient saying is right. There are plenty of beautiful women in this world. You can pursue anyone you want. Gong Su prattled on incessantly. Ignore him. This is how he is. You'll get used to it. Yi Wanwan couldn't be more embarrassed. Sis Wan, don't worry. I'm used to it. Chu Feng smiled faintly. Jiang Yanran currently had too many admirers, so he was already accustomed to it. Big Dipper was decent still. There were many crazier suitors out there. Punk, I'm telling you, treat my goddess well. If you dare to bully my goddess in the future, I'll make you thoroughly understand 2 words. Big Dipper fumed with rage. Which 2 words? Gong Su blurted out. Die sunless. Big Dipper harumphed. Big Dipper then turned to Yi Wanwan as though he'd suffered an immense grievance. Sis Wanwan. I broke up. Yi Wanwan. When did you even freaking start dating? Bro big. I know several sisters who look pretty sweet. Gongsu quietly said after walking toward Big Dipper. Oh. Big Dipper's eyes brightened. Bro big, how about you teach me a move or two? Because of Brother Yi, I luckily signed on with Stars Entertainment, and I'm preparing to enter the international scene. After carefully thinking about it, I finally decided the tough man style suits me the best. How about you come to my house sometime, bro big, and we can explore the tough man route together? Gongsu seriously asked. Yes. From the first time I saw you, I thought you were very suited for the tough man style. How about you call those girlies and I'll come to your house tonight and explore it in detail? Big Dipper agreed thoughtfully. Yuan, enough already. Didn't you just break up? Yes, that's doable. Gongsu smiled before turning to Yuan. Bro big, I'm not connected to those girls in any way. I just know them. I mainly want to introduce them to my bro big. That's all. Big Dipper also turned to Yuan. As they say, who else can an injured heart love? I think I'll become a heartless Casanova from now on. My heart won't hurt as long as I don't love Yuan wondered if she could call the security here to kick these two idiots out. She couldn't stand them anymore. No, you can't go. 7-Star furrowed his brows at Big Dipper. Why? I have to help my bro, Gongsu, walk the tough man route. Big Dipper protested. That's right. Why won't you let my bro big go? Gongsu hastily interjected too. 7-Star didn't speak and coldly looked at Gongsu. Gongsu immediately switched tracks and seriously said, actually, I think it'd also be nice if I went the scholarly route. I don't have to go the tough man route, bro big. Don't come if you don't have time. It had to be said that 7-Star's expression was truly too frightening. We have to leave soon. Don't run around and cause havoc. After relaying this final order, 7-Star didn't say anything else. Chapter 1879 Chapter 1879, Give me a girlfriend as compensation leave? Where? Gongsu pressed anxiously. Far away. Big Dipper sighed. Thinking about it, if he could stay in China and party every day with Gongsu, it'd be rather nice too. Then when will you come back? Gongsu's face filled with sadness. Winter probably. Bro big, aren't you being insincere? Gongsu's lips twitched. Winter probably, he said. Luochen dragged Gongsu away before Gongsu could say anything else. Oh right, how's the investigation on Yao Jiawen? Yuan pushed Yi Mufan, who resumed eating his pig foot again, to the side and sat down. That damn bitch, that ingrate. Yi Mufan put down his pig foot and scornfully said, the investigation finished. She embezzled several large sums of money from the company and committed a white-collar crime, so she got arrested. She probably won't be released within several decades. We let her off lightly, Han Xinyu commented with a smile. It's a rather befitting punishment, Jiang Yanran said. Back then, Yao Jiawen secretly embezzled the company's funds and shoved all of the crimes onto Yuan. Not only that, but she also acted like a mighty hero who didn't fear hardship and led the Age of Immortals out of its plight. Just thinking about it made them nauseous. Thankfully, after Yuan returned, she shattered Yao Jiawen's public image and dished out some sweet justice. Yuan knew Yao Jiawen would get arrested for sure, so she didn't pay it too much heed. How's Emperor Sky Entertainment? Yuan asked her brother. I merged Emperor Sky Entertainment and the Age of Immortals. Emperor Sky Entertainment has quite a large number of artists, but the current focus is Han Xinyu, Gongsu, and them. We won't consider other artists until they rise above the A-list, Yi Mufan replied. Haha, exactly. We shouldn't let one's own fertile water flow into others' fields. My brother Yi is the boss of Stars Corporation. Before this, I never dreamed of signing a contract with Stars Entertainment. I've met so many of my idols. I love you to death, brother Yi, Gongsu said. Yeah, Han Xinyu nodded in agreement. Not everyone could sign onto an international entertainment company like Stars Entertainment. They possessed too many wealthy resources, so Stars Entertainment could easily make them into international superstars. As long as they didn't behave suicidally, there wouldn't be any problems. Brother Yi. Thank you. Luochen looked at Yi Wanwan and wanted to say something but could only make out, "Thank you." No words could describe his gratitude toward Yi Wanwan. If it weren't for Yi Wanwan, he would be nothing. "What? You want to make me cry?" Yi Wanwan asked Luochen in amusement. No, Luochen shook his head. "Wanwan, without you we wouldn't be where we are," Jiang Yanran said. The greatest benefactor she'd met in her life was Yi Wanwan. Ever since their school days, the assistance Yi Wanwan had given her was truly too much. "Sis Wanwan, I'm also grateful for you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have gotten together with Yanran." Chu Feng also said. "What?" Big Dipper was surprised and instantly turned to Yi Wanwan grievously. "Sis Wanwan, it was actually you who introduced my goddess to this punk. I don't care, you owe me a girlfriend. Give me a girlfriend as compensation." Yi Wanwan glanced at Big Dipper. "I'll sit with you for a bit." Big Dipper. Chapter 1880 Give the position to you. Yi Wanwan turned to Yi Mufan and said, "Dad and Mom called me and told us to come home to have dinner in a few days. Take advantage of the next 2 days, and get in touch with Director Zhou from Stars Entertainment. I already let them know that Stars Entertainment will be working closely with the Age of Immortals." "Damn. Really? That's too awesome." Yi Mufan was beside himself with excitement. Before, Stars Entertainment merely gave them a pinch of resources, and it allowed the Age of Immortals and Emperor Sky Entertainment to rise almost an entire level. As for intense collaborations, they never dreamed of this. However, after thinking about it, Yi Wanwan was the boss of Stars Corporation, so he, Yi Mufan, could also be considered a manager or something at Stars Entertainment at least. They were a family anyway, so these fertile resources had to be reserved for their own people, of course. "Good sister." Yi Mufan suddenly smiled ingratiatingly at Yi Wanwan. His expression couldn't be any more ass-kissing. "What babble do you want to fart now?" Yi Wanwan glanced at him. Yi Mufan was definitely up to no good. "Ha ha ha." Yi Mufan chuckled. "Good sister, you're too crude. Don't be like that. I'll leave if you won't talk," Yi Wanwan said. "Don't. I suddenly thought of something that I think is necessary to discuss with you." Yi Mufan asked, "What do you think of my abilities?" Yi Wanwan was startled, not understanding why Yi Mufan was asking out of the blue. "Decent," Yi Wanwan answered truthfully. "Sister, do you still remember how you fired a branch director of Stars Entertainment at the anniversary celebration?" Yi Mufan probed. "Yes." Yi Wanwan recalled that it was Xiao Heng's grandfather that she fired. "Good sister, say, I think that I would be a good fit for the empty director position now with my abilities. Now that Emperor Sky Entertainment and the Age of Immortals have merged, we will be entering a period of rapid development. Additionally, we're going to have deep collaborations with Stars Entertainment, so why don't you give the empty director position to me? It'll work in everyone's favor." Yi Mufan hastily finished. He'd coveted that position for a long time, but couldn't muster the courage to voice it. Yi Wanwan was pensive. In truth, Yi Mufan could succeed as a director without any problems with his current strength. However, no matter what, Stars Corporation was still Second Elder's asset. Yi Wanwan immediately went to the restroom and called Second Elder. "President, although Stars Corporation is my asset, to put it plainly, it belongs to the Fearless Alliance. It was you who granted the starting fund to me back then, President, so you can do whatever you want. I won't have any objections," Second Elder responded on the other end after Yi Wanwan explained the situation to him. Yi Wanwan left the restroom after the call ended. She said to Yi Mufan, 3-month trial period. "Damn. Good sister, I'll buy you a feast." Ahaha. Yi Mufan was a bit lost in his exhilaration. After giving them a few more instructions, Yi Wanwan departed from the of Immortals with Big Dipper and the others in tow. At Golden Seas, the Yi family's turmoil finally calmed during this period of time. Liang Wanjun made a table of dishes, and Yi Mufan also entered the kitchen and made several of his signature dishes. Their family managed to gather together on this rare occasion. "Mom, let me help you." Chapter 1881 Are you saying my daughter isn't worthy of him? As soon as Yi Wanwan entered the kitchen, Liang Wanjun kicked her out and exclaimed, "Ah, no need. It's smoky in the kitchen, so go and wait on the sofa. There's some fruit on the coffee table. Have some. Let your brother do it." Yi Mufan also frantically nodded while he had his apron on. How could a girl do such rough work? "I'll do it." And so, Yi Wanwan had no choice but to move to the sofa. Yi Shouting, who had been hesitant to speak the whole night, cleared his throat and sat down next to his daughter. He furtively probed, "Wanwan, where's little ninth ahem, I mean President C? Why haven't we seen him recently?" His daughter's boyfriend was actually the president of the C Corporation. He still felt like he was dreaming. Yi Wanwan took a bite from an apple before replying, "He's been busy abroad lately. I'll bring him home another day." Yi Shouting sighed worriedly. "Oh child, how could you keep such an important matter from us?" Yi Wanwan coughed. "Dad, I didn't lie to you though. He does work at the C Corporation." Yi Shouting glanced at his daughter exasperatedly. I don't know who you resemble. Your guts are growing bigger and bigger." "Dad, of course I resemble you. A tiger father doesn't beget a dog child." Yi Wanwan promptly flattered him. "You, President C has a powerful position. Is he in a serious relationship with you?" Liang Wanjun asked fretfully. Yi Shouting glanced at his wife. "What are you saying? Who do you think my daughter is? Forget about the Age of Immortals and Emperor Sky Entertainment, but she's also the boss of Stars Corporation. Are you saying my daughter isn't worthy of that, Si Yihan? What a joke." Yes, you're right." Liang Wanjun placated him with a smile. Yi Wanwan paused as she watched this blissful scene with her family. Even though she already knew the truth behind her background, she hadn't grown emotionally distant from Father Yi, Mother Yi, and Yi Mufan. The warmth they gave her filled an empty and unfulfilled corner of her heart. She previously had someone secretly investigate Yi Wanwan, and discovered that the real Yi Wanwan died many years ago in that terrorist attack abroad. In truth, she was hesitant about whether she should tell them the truth or not. On one hand, she herself didn't know all the details and didn't know how to explain it. On the other hand, she was truly worried they couldn't accept it. Regardless of the reason, the reality was that she took over Yi Wanwan's identity, out of guilt and responsibility, as well as the warmth they provided to her. She would definitely safeguard the Yi family and their happiness and well-being for the rest of their lives even if she wasn't the real Yi Wanwan. At that moment, she sharply heard Yi Mufan hastily dashing over with a metal spatula in hand. What? Busy with work? How could any work be more important than his girlfriend? Wanwan, brother is telling you, you mustn't believe this busy with work excuse. You have to keep a close watch on him, and prevent him from getting up to no good. You're better off believing there are ghosts in this world than a man's mouth. Yi Wanwan was speechless. Please, you're also a man, alright? What man would talk about men like you? That's why I'm going to visit him tomorrow. Yi Wanwan didn't want to reflight him, and went along with him. Since she needed to leave China and return to the independent state, she naturally needed an excuse, so she straight up told her family she was visiting her boyfriend. This was indeed a great excuse. Yes, that's right. You have to keep a strict watch on him. I'll take care of the company and dad and mom, so don't worry. Yi Mufan vehemently promised. Liang Wanjun affectionately looked at her daughter. Regardless of little ninth's identity, he looks like a good child and treats you well, so be sure to get along with him well. Plus, Wanwan, it's time for you to plan for your marriage. Indulge in some romance and go out to have fun and relax. Don't worry about us and the company. Yi Shouting also nodded. That's right. Leave everything else to your brother and me. Rest easy and go have fun. Yi Shouting always felt like he owed his daughter a lot, and tried his best to make it up to her. Warmth brimmed with Yi Wanwan's face. Thank you, Dad, Mom. Don't worry. I'll definitely bring a certain someone back here. Chapter 1882 Chapter 1880 You have to use some tricks on men. Yi Mufan glanced at Yi Wanwan, and lightly bumped her shoulder with a laugh. Actually, you have to use some tricks on men, and a man like Si Yihan requires extra techniques. Sister, I'm telling you, that I, your brother, am endowed with immense advantages and extensive experience in this area. Do you want me to give you some tips? Yi Wanwan's expression was strange when she heard this. Endowed with immense advantages and extensive experience. Why does something sound odd about that? I didn't realize you studied men so much, Yi Wanwan blurted out. Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting glanced at Yi Mufan. Yi Xiaoting admonished him. Don't meddle in this and mess things up for your sister. How can a man like you say this kind of thing without any shame? Liang Wanjun looked worried. Mufan, don't tell me you don't like girls? The corners of Yi Mufan's lips twitched. I'm a man, so I know a man best. Is there a problem with that? How does it have anything to do with whether I like girls or not? That's good. Only then did Liang Wanjun relax. Sis, I'm telling you, approaching a man requires a lot of tricks, especially for a man like Si Yihan. You need to play hard to get and view it like flying a kite, keeping a good grasp on your rhythm and loosening or tightening the string skillfully. However, before Yi Mufan could finish, Yi Wanwan coldly interrupted. How about I turn you into a kite? Does he think all men are as scummy as him? Forget it. Loyal advice is jarring to the ear, so I'll drop it. But sis, if Si Yihan bullies you, don't be scared. Tell me and I'll definitely pummel him to the ground. Yi Mufan declared. Who knows who'll be the one pummeled to the ground? Alright. Even food can't keep your mouth shut. Hurry and eat. Yi Xiaoting chuckled. Complicated emotions gushed into Yi Wanwan's heart as she watched this harmonious scene, especially with the truth in mind. Although she didn't feel estranged from this family, her parents, and her brother at all, she still wasn't the true Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan didn't know if she should reveal the truth, or how she should tell them the true Yi Wanwan died many years ago. Could her parents and Yi Mufan handle the truth? The next day, Yi Wanwan was eating breakfast in the living room. Liang Wanjun had packed all her luggage for her already, bought a lot of new clothes for her, and stored them in the suitcase. Aside from clothes, there was also a lot of food. A mother couldn't help but worry about their journeying child. That was how it always was. Mom, no need to prepare so many things. I can buy whatever I need later, Yi Wanwan said to Liang Wanjun as she accepted the suitcase. Nonsense. Preparing everything ahead of time is better than fretting over it when it's missing during your travels. Yi Xiaoting put down his book. Dad, I understand. Yi Wanwan had no choice but to accept. Alright. Wanwan, I have something I've been meaning to ask you. Yi Xiaoting looked at her and asked. How did you become the owner of Stars Corporation? Dad, it's a long story. I actually don't have a lot of shares in Stars Corporation, but those friends of mine have a good amount, and everyone thinks I have a decent mind for business, so they listen to me a lot. Yi Wanwan concocted a random tale. Chapter 1883. That actually happened. Yi Xiaoting was bewildered. He had met Yi Wanwan's friends and the two scholarly elderly men, and they didn't look like ordinary people. Yi Xiaoting didn't completely believe Yi Wanwan's explanation, thinking it sounded overly hasty. However, there was nothing false about the fact that Yi Wanwan was the owner of Stars Corporation. As for how Yi Wanwan became its owner, Yi Xiaoting didn't bother wasting his words since Yi Wanwan didn't seem willing to talk. Dad, no more chit-chat. I have to go now, or I might miss my flight. Yi Wanwan bid farewell to Yi Xiaoting and Liang Wanjun and pulled her suitcase away. Outside the door, Big Dipper, 7-Star, and the others had been waiting for an unknown amount of time. After leaving Golden Seas, 7-Star turned to Yi Wanwan. Sis Feng, about your mission from Scarlet Flame's Academy. That's right. Didn't you come here to complete that mission to eradicate defected mercenaries from Scarlet Flame's Academy? Big Dipper also asked hastily. Yi Wanwan was startled and looked at 7-Star and Big Dipper. Didn't we eradicate them? Everyone had an odd expression when they heard that. We eradicated them? When was that? Why weren't we aware? Yi Wanwan pulled out her phone and looked at yesterday's news as she murmured. They should be considered eradicated, right? The news reported that the Chinese police destroyed a criminal group, and the informant was Si Bai, and this criminal group was Si Bai's base for the lawless gang in China. The news article featured several photos of the arrested lawless gang members, and Yi Wanwan confirmed it with the photos she got from Scarlet Flame's Academy. They were all defected mercenaries. Bai previously admitted that the lawless gang took in many defected mercenaries from the independent state, so those defected mercenaries naturally became a part of the lawless gang. Damn, the lawless gang is finished just like that? What a novelty! Big Dipper couldn't stop his amazement as he read the news article. First Elder shook his head. China is a powerful country. No matter how fearsome the lawless gang was, they had limited manpower, so they'd be asking for death if they wanted to fight with the police. Unless the police were empty-handed and unarmed. Otherwise, with hundreds and thousands of guns pointed at you. What else would you be but dead if you dared to resist? Yuanwan glanced at First Elder. First Elder was truly a wise person. After coming to China, they were in someone else's territory, so you had to follow the rules and do as the natives did. If you violated China's rules, no one would joke around with you. Yuanwan put the phone back in her pocket. She didn't know whether Scarlet Flame's Academy would acknowledge this or not. Soon, they arrived at the airport and boarded the plane after some chatting. They reserved the whole plane again. On the enormous plane, there was only a total of 5 people. Yuanwan, Big Dipper, 7 Star, First Elder, and Third Elder. Where are the others? Yuanwan surveyed the plane's interior curiously. President, I arranged for them to remain in China and protect Liang Wanjun, Yi Mufan, and the others. There will be 2 teams changing shifts every 3 months. This time, I didn't have them come back with us to give them some time to familiarize themselves with China's situation. First Elder answered. Yuanwan nodded in satisfaction. As expected, she could count on First Elder, and he knew her well. I also thought about that. You just got there before me, Third Elder grumbled with displeasure. Oh right, where are those fearless alliance members held hostage by the lawless gang? Yuanwan asked another question. Chapter 1884 President, I arranged for them to go back first, Third Elder answered as he stepped forward. They were missing from the independent state for too long and missed home a lot. Plus they weren't in a good state, so. Nicely done. Yuanwan nodded. Third Elder smiled and glanced at First Elder provocatively. At the independent state's airport, the plane steadily descended and landed. After switching several planes and taking 2 ferries, Yuanwan and her group finally arrived at the independent state. As soon as Yuanwan reached the independent state, she released herself from her shackles and tossed aside her sunglasses, face mask, black haute couture windbreaker, and the brand-name necklace on her neck. She switched into the loose and ragged black martial arts clothes she typically wore in the independent state, as well as a pair of flip-flops. Not having the burden of an idol felt rather nice. In China, she had to maintain her appearance in front of her artists and her fans. Yuanwan couldn't help but chuckle when she thought about this. Once upon a time, when she first came to the independent state, she still remembered how she had to tread on thin ice and lived every second in trepidation. Every word she spoke had to undergo careful deliberation. Now, within a mere few months, she went from an illegal stowaway outsider to gradually adapting to life here, and started living like a fish in water. It was true. Even if her memory was tampered with, something that was in her bones couldn't be changed. At the same time at Azura's headquarters, in the garden, Lin Kei languidly sat on a rattan chair and drank some tea before saying to the man who was reading documents next to him, what a feat, what a feat. Congratulations, ninth brother, you finally took care of that girl. They originally thought it would be a series of tribulations, but they didn't expect ninth brother to take care of it just by showing his face. Lin Kei bootlickingly flattered, you're still awesome, ninth brother. As soon as you appeared, you managed to make that girl listen to you with your face alone. Before they left, they called Yi Wanwan again to make sure and confirm that she wouldn't leave China before resting easy and leaving themselves. Si Yihan looked at Lin Kei on this rare occasion, evidently in a good mood. Inform Jiang Yan and summon all the branch heads. We're having a meeting in the afternoon, Si Yihan ordered. Lin Kei sighed. As soon as you come back, you work non-stop with no regard for your life and only sleep 2 to 3 hours every night. Are you trying to become an immortal? He suddenly missed that girl. At least she was someone who dared to force him to sleep. Yi Wanwan and her group took the special channel, so they quickly reached the airport arrivals area. I hadn't had enough fun yet, but we're back already. Big Dipper grumbled regretfully. 7-Star rolled his eyes at Big Dipper and ignored him. He swiftly reported everything that happened in the Fearless Alliance while they were gone, and her upcoming agenda. Yuanwan just woke up on the airplane and was a little dazed still. She scratched her hair and absent-mindedly listened before saying, All right, got it. Oh right, 7-Star, any news on the matter I had you investigate regarding Emperor Ji? Her main reasons for going to China were helping out her father and brother, and searching for traces of Si Yihan. As for the Academy's mission, she only finished the A-rank mission of destroying the defected mercenaries organization to obtain 5,000 honor points. At the Scarlet Flames Academy's competition last time, she obtained 5,000 points for breaking the record and 10,000 points for winning first place at the competition. Combined with the 10,000 points from finishing 2 A-rank missions, she had a total of 25,000 points. Chapter 1885. However, a single hypnosis session from the headmaster would cost her 50,000 honor points, and after using all her points, she still owed the headmaster 25,000. She required a total of 4 hypnosis sessions, so she still cared acquire 175,000 honor points, an astronomical number. She had to hurry and think of a way to acquire enough honor points. 7-Star's face darkened and his brows furrowed. Sis Feng, I don't think you should interact too closely with that, sir. Yuanwan felt a headache rising as she heard 7-Star starting to nag again. If you don't look into it for me, I'll walk through the G Estate's entrance and ask him myself. 7-Star's expression froze. He pursed his lips and had no choice but to answer. I don't know the history behind the ring that Emperor Ji always wears. It should just be an ordinary accessory, though since I just heard the news that the auction item Emperor Ji is donating for the charity auction in 3 days happens to be that ring. If it was a very important item, he probably wouldn't offer it up for an auction. Yuanwan's eyes brightened. Great. The heavens were seriously helping her. Her honor points still drifted in the distance, and she was just fretting over how she was going to gather them. She originally intended to spend some money and buy it from Emperor Ji if it wasn't anything too important. Since Emperor Ji happened to be donating the ring for charity, she could use this chance to buy it. Obtaining a personal ring from Emperor Ji was an S-rank mission, so this ring alone could provide 10,000 honor points, which was a considerable amount. Sis Feng, what are you planning to do? 7-Star asked, raising his guard. Yuanwan scratched her chin and confidently proclaimed, We'll go to the charity auction in 3 days. That ring will be mine. Big Dipper's eyes shone as he clicked his tongue. Don't tell me, Sis Feng. You fooled that Patriarch C and hastily rushed back because of Emperor Ji bidding for his personal ring at a charity auction to collect it. TSK. Isn't that the same as confessing publicly? 7-Star's head pounded upon seeing his president's old habits kicking in again. He hastily tried to convince her. Sis Feng, there will be many wealthy women and socialites attending that day, and the price for Emperor Ji's personal ring will definitely skyrocket. The Fearless Alliance's recent expenses have been too great, so I'm afraid we can't afford it. 1885. Couldn't you be more tactful? Yuanwan raised her eyebrows. I know we can't afford it, but isn't this an auction? 7-Star expressed his incomprehension. Big Dipper instantly hooked his arm around 7-Star's shoulder. Old 7, are you dumb? If Bro Flat Top, the president of the Fearless Alliance, went to an auction and bidded on something, who would dare to bid with her? Even if she started the bid at $1, no one would try to outbid her. Sis Feng, attending an auction is the equivalent of robbing someone openly. 7-Star. Yuanwan. Although I also thought that, can't you say it more tactfully? Big Dipper was right though. Who would dare to contend with President Fearless for what she wanted? That would be knowingly seeking trouble for themselves. Yuanwan planned to express her shamelessness to the max. In light of regaining her memory, she wouldn't lose anything by being a little shameless. Soon, the group made their way toward the Fearless Alliance. The Fearless Alliance's headquarters. Yuanwan sauntered into her office. Great White Little Black. As soon as Yuanwan entered the office, She saw the white tiger and black panther curled up together, black melting into white harmoniously. When Virus caught sight of her, he instantly got up and climbed on his hind legs, pouncing at her with excitement in his eyes. Chapter 1886. When Virus stood up, his black shadow towered over Yuanwan, and she wrapped her arms around him. Great White also stood up immediately and paced around Yuanwan affectionately, appearing like he missed her a lot too. Yuanwan chuckled happily and madly petted and rubbed her two pets. President, are you here? A familiar voice suddenly came from outside the office door. Before Yuanwan could ponder it, the door was pushed open and a figure shot in. President. The figure was about to dash toward Yuanwan when a furious roar from Virus drained the color out of the newcomer's face. Fu Mingxi. Yuanwan was startled when she saw the man in front of her. Wasn't Fu Mingxi in China? Why was he here? Mingxi, don't act insolently. An elderly man slowly walked into the office and shot Fu Mingxi a look. This elderly man was the second elder of the Fearless Alliance. Fu Mingxi, why are you here? Yuanwan called back Virus and had Fu Mingxi and second elder sit down. I asked grandfather, and he told me you were coming back, President, so I came back a day before you, Fu Mingxi answered. Yuanwan. This punk truly won't go away. Isn't it good to be an international superstar in China? Why does he have to run about everywhere? Second elder. Thank you for your help this time. Yuanwan ignored Fu Mingxi and turned to second elder. What are you saying, President? Stars Corporation belongs to the Fearless Alliance, so of course the President can use it however necessary, second elder hastily replied. Before Yuanwan could respond, first elder, third elder, Big Dipper, and 7-Star entered the office. When third elder saw second elder and Fu Mingxi, his expression shifted. Damn, you're like a piece of dogskin plaster, punk. We can't shake you off no matter where we go. Big Dipper said with a strange expression. Fu Mingxi actually came back earlier than them. He freaking came prepared. Second elder, aren't you too shameless? Third elder looked at second elder with displeasure rolling off of him. How am I shameless? Second elder's expression chilled. You actually made your grandson come. Are you trying to usurp the Fearless Alliance? Third elder jeered. I don't have time for you. Second elder smirked. It was the president who agreed to this matter back then. If the president gets together with Mingxi, then Mingxi has to help the president share her internal and external responsibilities. What's wrong with that? You. Third elder nearly coughed up a mouthful of blood. He really couldn't find any good argument. Actually, President, I have several sons who are decent. Third elder immediately said to Yuanwan with a big grin on his face. President, First elder also wanted to say something. You what? Do you have a son? Third elder glanced at first elder. Do you have a grandson? Second elder also asked him. First elder. Enough. Yuanwan exasperatedly waved her hands. What was this? A matchmaking party? My husband has been decided already, so stop the needless worrying, Yuanwan said with a sigh. Grandfather, the president took a fancy to a pretty boy, Fu Mingxi said to second elder. Second elder chuckled and said to his grandson meaningfully, Mingxi, the president isn't married yet, so as they say, contend for the president's hand fairly. Grandfather believes in you. Yuanwan. Is this shamelessness hereditary? Chapter 1887. Don't worry, grandfather. Fu Mingxi looked at second elder, his face brimming with confidence. Go on, Mingxi, grandfather believes in you. Second elder nodded at his grandson in satisfaction. Yuanwan. Didn't I tell them clearly that I have a lover already? Do they not understand human words? Damn, you're so thick-skinned. Big Dipper gave second elder and Fu Mingxi a big thumbs up. In terms of skin thickness in the Fearless Alliance, the winner had to be this grandfather and grandson duo, right? Yuanwan helplessly left the office, allowing second elder and third elder to keep arguing. She drove herself to the Nia residence. Everyone in the Nia family knew about Yuanwan's identity, and Patriarch Nia evidently gave specific instructions to the servants after the last time she took Tang Tang outside. so she was allowed inside very smoothly. In the living room, Madame Nia looked at Yi Wanwan with an indulgent and loving smile. Godmother, I brought this back from China for you. Yi Wanwan took out some presents for her, and placed Tong Tong's presents to the side. You're too kind, Madame Nia said happily. Oh right, where's Tang Tang? Yi Wanwan impatiently wanted to see her darling son. Her biological son. Madame Nia answered, we helped Tang Tang enroll in school recently, so he's at school right now. Tong Tong's at school. Yi Wanwan realized that Tang Tang was at the age for attending school. She was truly an irresponsible mom for not even knowing this. Yi Wanwan nodded in response. She originally wanted to directly hand these presents to Tang Tang, but she would have to come again next time. After chatting with Madame Nia for a while, Yi Wanwan planned to leave. She came to the Nia residence to see Tang Tang, and since Tang Tang wasn't home, she wanted to return to Scarlet Flame's academy. Before Yi Wanwan left the Nia residence, she saw Nameless Nia wandering around casually. Nameless Nia! Yi Wanwan shouted immediately. Damn! You scared me to death. Nameless Nia was astonished when he saw her. Didn't you go back to China to party? When did you come back? Forget about that. I'm asking you, what's the deal with the Rose of Death? Yi Wanwan wanted nothing more than to take a chunk out of Nameless Nia. This liar told her the Rose of Death didn't exist and conned a copyright fee from her. The Rose of Death? Nameless Nia was bewildered. What happened? What about the Rose of Death? What else could have happened? The Rose of Death clearly existed, so why did you tell me the Rose of Death didn't exist? Was it just to scam some copyright fee out of me? Return the money to me. Yi Wanwan extended her hand toward him. I don't have any money, but I have a life. Nameless Nia promptly shook his head. She wanted him to return money that entered his pockets? No way in hell. Then tell me what's the deal with the Rose of Death? Do you know that I created a new Rose of Death after I bought the copyright from you? You're going to be the death of me. Yi Wanwan was beside herself with rage. Ah, sister. It's not that I was lying to you. Our family did write manuscripts for the Rose of Death. Nameless Nia smiled guiltily when he caught Yi Wanwan's murderous gaze. Alright, fine, the Rose of Death does indeed exist. But it's a taboo in the independent state, so who'd dare to mention it? So you're saying the Rose of Death isn't fictional? Yi Wanwan asked with a frown. Chapter 1888 I have the antidote. Yeah. Nameless Nia nodded. If my slap lands on your face you might die. Yi Wanwan raised her hand, wanting nothing more than to kill Nameless Nia with a slap. If her newly created Rose of Death attracted attention from the wrong people, the consequences would be severe. Sister, don't be scared. The Rose of Death, it's history. Forget about your newly founded Rose of Death. Even if you created a new faction and called it the Father of the Independent State, it'd be fine. It's just a name, don't worry, Nameless Nia asserted. Just what kind of demon and malevolent spirit is Nameless Nia? The Father of the Independent State. Haha. Why didn't he outright say the grandfather of the independent state? I'm asking you, what's the situation with the Rose of Death? Tell me everything. Yi Wanwan ordered impatiently. Nameless Nia had no choice but to answer truthfully. In truth, the Rose of Death is an inherited faction passed down every generation, and every leader is a woman called Black Widow. They also another special alias called Eric. Upon seeing Yi Wanwan's fury simmering down gradually, Nameless Nia breathed a sigh of relief and continued. Actually, the Rose of Death was annihilated many years ago and became history. Based on what I know, the Rose of Death was very strong and struck panic and terror into the entire independent state. So how did such a formidable organization get destroyed? And who destroyed them? Yi Wanwan asked inquisitively. Nameless Nia shook his head. How would I know? I'm unfamiliar with the Rose of Deet. __. Oh right, what does Eric mean? Yi Wanwan recalled the alias that Sibai mentioned. I don't know the details, but it should mean Avenger, Nameless Nia answered. Avenger? Against whom? Yi Wanwan reflexively asked. Nameless Nia shook his head. How would I know that much? How about you ask my mom or dad? The older generation will definitely know more than me. Yuanwan naturally couldn't ask Patriarch Nye and Madame Nye. Since nameless Nye was clueless, she'd leave the matter at that since the Rose of Death didn't have much to do with her. At most, she'd change her new faction's name. Alright. Yuanwan's eyes shifted, and she took out the ancient and simple ring and handed it to nameless Nye. Take a look at this. Do you recognize this ring? Nameless Nye accepted the ring and turned it around to examine it. A while later, he looked at Yuanwan with a frown. What is it? Yuanwan hastily asked. This ring. It's a rare material, and the workmanship is complicated and unusual. It's definitely worth a lot. Nameless Nye stared intently at the ring. Look at this contour, tsk. Look at this material. Is this your ring, sister? I have some channels, so how about we auction it off? I'll take 30 and you take 70, or fine, I'll take 20 and you take 80. As expected, she was an idiot for having hope in nameless Nye. Give it back. Yuanwan snapped. Okay. Nameless Nye honestly returned the ring to Yuanwan, hesitation brimming from his face. Alright. Nameless Nye slapped his thigh and made a last-ditch effort. Sister, I've prepared the antidote for your love goo. Do you really not want it? You're running out of time, so you mustn't joke with your life. How about you exchange this ring for it? If you round it off, it'd be the same as getting the antidote for free. Haha. Your math is rather good. Yuanwan rolled her eyes at him. I told you I don't need it. I have an antidote with excellent effects. Your worrying is unnecessary. Yuanwan mercilessly cut off nameless Nye's source of income. Chapter 1889 Image will collapse after returning from the Nye residence. Yuanwan didn't hurry and returned to the academy to submit her missions. Instead, she planned to wait until the charity auction finished in 3 days, after she won Emperor Ji's personal ring, before submitting all those completed missions together. The next few days, she took care of all the paperwork for the Fearless Alliance that had piled up during her absence, and studied the newly issued missions from Scarlet Flame's Academy, to see if there were any quick missions she could accept. In the blink of an eye, the day of the auction arrived. This annual charity auction was one of the largest banquets in the independent state. It was organized by the 4 great clans, the Shun, the Ji, the Nye, and the Ling clans, and all the leaders and renowned people of the independent state were invited. They adhered to the principle love and charity are borderless, so the invited guests weren't restricted by which side of the law they were on or their sex and factions. Hence, even a notorious organization like the Fearless Alliance was given an invitation by the 4 great clans. However, with the Fearless Alliance's temperament, they naturally wouldn't attend such an uncharacteristic charity auction. Their Fearless Alliance also had the baggage of an idol. On their way there, Big Dipper kept staring at the invitation and grumbling. Sis Feng, do we really have to go to this charity auction? Our Fearless Alliance's image will collapse. When the Fearless Alliance typically wanted to do something good, they directly stuffed the money in that person's hands, and the person had to take it whether they wanted to or not, or else they would receive a round of beatings. Who would attend this kind of monotonous charity banquet? Yuanwan rolled her eyes at him. Enough nonsense. Did you figure out when Emperor Ji's ring will be auctioned? Big Dipper pursed his lips. Who needs to dig into this? It'll definitely be the climax, arranged toward the end. Yuanwan did some research about the event before coming. The independent state's charity auction was similarly structured to China's charity auctions. Essentially, a prestigious brand name or organization invited celebrities of all circles to attend. The invited celebrities would each donate at least one item that would be auctioned by the attending guests, and the funds obtained from the auction would be donated. There would be all sorts of items ranging from valuable and precious accessories and jewels to personal items of famous people like clothes, fountain pens, or even used handkerchiefs. The prices for these everyday items depended on their owner. For example, Emperor Ji's ring. As the heir of the Ji family, one of the 4 great clans, and the Emperor of Europe's underground with the title Emperor Ji, Ji Shiran had an immensely high popularity and prestige in the independent state. Hence, as one of the top treasures of the night, the ring would certainly be the focus of many people and be very popular and sought after. However, What they probably couldn't have expected was for a bandit boss to appear tonight. 7-Star looked unhappy the entire journey, and his expression darkened further after he took a call midway through the ride. What's up with you, old 7? Why do you look so unhappy? Are you also afraid of humiliating yourself? How about we conceal our faces together? 7-Star's eye kept twitching, and he dismally said, we can't let the president go. I just got news that Lord Azura will attend tonight too. Emperor Ji alone was enough to raise his nerves and set him on edge. But adding Lord Azura into the mix, who knew what havoc Sisfong would wreak? Big Dipper's eyes shot open. Fuck me. Lord Azura is also going? That's great. Our fearless alliance won't be at the bottom anymore. Azura coming to this kind of event would definitely be more shocking than the fearless alliance. This way, they wouldn't be as humiliated. Chapter 1890. Even a honeypot trap isn't effective? 7-Star lost all desire to respond to Big Dipper's point of emphasis. Yi Wanwan propped her head and glanced at them. What are you two mumbling about? As they spoke, the car arrived in front of the banquet hall. Yi Wanwan straightened her clothes and stepped out of the car. To preserve the last of the Fearless Alliance's face and pride, Yi Wanwan didn't wear any formal attire and stayed in her carefree outfit. When 7-Star saw Yi Wanwan about to enter, he hastily walked forward and blocked Yi Wanwan. Sisfong, wait. What is it? Yi Wanwan sent 7-Star a questioning look. Sisfong, we really aren't suited for this kind of setting. I think. Before 7-Star could finish, Yi Wanwan's gaze shot past him and fixated on a point behind him. Sisfong. Yi Wanwan's attention seemed to be completely sucked by some force behind 7-Star. She extended her hands and directly moved 7-Star to the side, a smile curling on her lips. She jubilantly called, Hey, Lord Azura. Long time no see. 7-Star froze and turned around robotically. A black car had parked in front of the banquet hall, and Lord Azura was expressionlessly standing there like a block of ice from the Arctic with a normal-looking servant, and Jiang Yin next to him. 7-Star didn't know whether it was his imagination or not, but he felt like Lord Azura shattered like ice the moment he saw their president, and the air around Lord Azura froze. Even the slow-witted Big Dipper subconsciously shuddered. Why do I feel like Lord Azura is a little angry at our president? But it couldn't be blamed. Any beauty who was constantly pestered by a lecherous character would understandably become angry and outraged. However, Yi Wanwan, the culprit, acted like she didn't sense anything and continued to greet him with a grin. Sir, why don't you look so good? Who provoked you? Crack after crack appeared on that eternally unchanging icy face, as though he would lose control in the next second. Flames were leaping from his frosty eyes. You! The man uttered between gritted teeth. He had to use all of the self-control he had to stabilize his emotions so that he didn't chomp this woman, who appeared in the independent state and showed up in front of him, to death. Fuck me, Yi Wanwan. Why is she back in the independent state? Lin Ke silently cursed, flabbergasted. As for Jiang Yan, he automatically interpreted his lord's attitude as detest toward Yi Wanwan, so he coldly walked forward and stopped Yi Wanwan. Please respect yourself, President Bai. Lin Ke couldn't help it and leaned forward, quietly whispering next to Si Yihan's ears. Damn. Seriously. A person would rather believe there are ghosts in this world than listening to the words coming out of Yi Wanwan's mouth. She spun you around in circles with her beguiling words. She docilely agreed on the phone a second ago, but appeared in front of you a second later. When I was young, my mom told me that the more beautiful a woman, the less credible her words were. It's really true, tut tut tut. He never would have expected ninth brother to make a blunder and miscalculation one day. What happened exactly? Even a honeypot trap isn't effective anymore. Chapter 1891. Lin Ke got halfway through his tut when he met his ninth brother's icy, snowy eyes. He immediately closed his mouth and shut up. The man enveloped by ice took a deep breath and wanted to suppress the storm that wanted to engulf him, but this time, he actually failed. He stared at the girl in front of him, his tone barely concealing his fury. I heard President Bai went to China. Why are you back so soon? Jiang Yan was shocked when he saw his lord starting a conversation with Bai Feng out of his own volition. His lord had never acknowledged Bai Feng much. Yi Wanwan appeared to become more elated from Lord Azura's words. Her curved and shimmering eyes caused her naked face to look extremely radiant and alluring. Yi Wanwan mockingly teased. I originally wanted to stay in China longer, but unfortunately, I turned sick from longing for a person, so I couldn't help but come flying back. She intentionally emphasized the words, turned sick from longing, and cheerfully stared at his face. Big Dipper. 7-star, I knew it. The president would definitely talk without thinking as soon as she saw Lord Azura. Didn't she see how Lord Azura looks extremely displeased? Why couldn't she rein it in a bit? Next to see Yihan, Lin Ke grumbled quietly. Turned sick from longing for a person? Ooh. As the atmosphere grew tenser, a gentle voice appeared from behind them. President Bai. Yi Wanwan turned to the source and felt her little heart warming a few degrees from Lord Azura's chilly breeze when she saw the newcomer's kind and gentle face. She waved her hand and greeted him. Emperor Ji. What a coincidence. She then added casually. I've missed you from our long days apart. Lin Ke's eyes shot open and he blurted. He's that girl's reason for turning sick from longing. Don't tell me that girl really took a fancy to Ji Xiran. Of course, she could also covet both Lord Azura and Ji Xiran. Lin Ke kept glancing at Lord Azura with trepidation as he grumbled. What a sin. Regardless of this girl's reason for returning to the independent state, the grassland above Ninth Brother's head was so fertile that horses could stampede across it. Ji Xiran imperceptibly glanced at Lord Azura before looking at Yi Wanwan and said with a smile. A coincidence indeed. Are you also here to attend the banquet, President Bai? Yi Wanwan heard the surprise in Ji Xiran's voice and explained. Yeah, there happens to be something I'm interested in amongst tonight's auction items. Something you're interested in? Ji Xiran asked. Yi Wanwan coughed lightly. Yeah. May I ask what item struck President Bai's fancy? Ji Xiran looked intrigued. Yi Wanwan's lips twitched. It wasn't like she could say, I want your closely worn ring, right? It sounded weird no matter how she said it. Nothing. Yi Wanwan couldn't make herself say it. Ninth Brother. Lin Ke wanted to say something, but discovered Lord Azura had disappeared from his side and started entering the banquet hall already, so he hastily followed. Vixen. Jiang Yan also quickly followed. Yi Wanwan exasperatedly glanced at Jiang Yan. PFT, can't this guy use a different name? Can't he be more creative? One day, I'll make you change it to Madame Azura. Chapter 1892. She can't be here to crash the banquet, right? Yi Wanwan's voice wasn't that quiet. 7-star's face was utterly dark. President. Speak carefully. Life is unpredictable and anything could happen. Who knows, right? Yi Wanwan soothingly patted 7-star's shoulder. 7-star didn't want to say anything. All the leaders and powerful figures of the independent state gathered inside the banquet hall. A glance across the room revealed that the majority of the guests present were prestigious and upright figures. Although the 4 great clans had good intentions, some atypical groups and organizations didn't buy it, and regarded an event like this disdainfully and wouldn't attend it. When Ji Xiran appeared, everyone turned to him. The Ji family dabbled on both sides of the law and thrived in every area, so they attended this event every year. A wave of whispers and discussion ran through the venue. Have you heard? This time, Emperor Ji donated the ring he wears every day. Really? Emperor Ji has been wearing that ring for as long as I've known him. Usually, a closely worn ring like this is either a keepsake or holds some special meaning, but Emperor Ji actually donated it for the charity auction. He seriously shelled out a fortune. No wonder he's Emperor Ji. He's too sincere. I must win Emperor Ji's ring tonight. No one is allowed to fight with me. A girl wearing an aqua blue gown exclaimed enthusiastically. The girl in pink next to him couldn't help but rain on her parade. Just forget it. I heard Third Miss Shen also has her eyes on this ring. Who can compete against the Shen family in terms of wealth? Moreover, her family happens to be the organizer and host of this year's charity banquet, so the winner of this ring will definitely be Third Miss Shen. How could she? Isn't that too much? She's crushing us with money. What can we do? We can't stop the Shun family from being wealthy. The other socialites who also wanted to bid for this ring all complained with dissatisfied expressions. In the banquet hall, all the big shots and celebrities were gathered in groups and conversing amongst themselves when someone suddenly cried quietly at the entrance. Silence enveloped the hall as though it had frozen. A pair of slender legs entered their sight as a man in a black suit encased in frost slowly walked in. Isn't this Lord Azura? Why did Lord Azura come to this charity banquet? Are we blind? Even the organizer, the Shun family, was startled. The plump patriarch Shun was in the middle of receiving Ji Xiaoran. It took him a while to regain his wits before he hastily walked toward the entrance. You honored us with your presence, Lord Azura. You're too polite, Uncle Shun. While everyone was immersed in their surprise about Lord Azura's arrival, a girl in frayed and loose black clothes languidly strode in with a pair of flip-flops on her feet. Damn. Bye phone. Bro Flat Top. What's going on with this charity banquet? Even Bro Flat Top is here? This is a joke, right? Why is she here? She can't be here to crash the banquet, right? Although Azura had a more vicious and cruel reputation than the Fearless Alliance, Azura was an organized and disciplined savage group. On the other hand, the Fearless Alliance didn't act according to logic or reason, and were willing to do anything. There was no question that it was the latter group that induced a bigger headache, and that most people were unwilling to provoke. Chapter 1893. Spectacular assembly. When Patriarch Shen saw Bai Feng appearing with Big Dipper and Seven Star in tow, his expression also changed. However, he was the patriarch of a great clan, so he quickly calmed down and received them with a smile. President Bai. Before Patriarch Shen could greet her though, Shen Tianchen leaped forward like a bullet. Damn goddess! Why are you here? The Fearless Alliance is actually attending a charity banquet. Am I finally getting delusional from missing you too much? Watch your mouth. Patriarch Shen quickly interrupted his son with a knock on the head. Ahem, please ignore my unruly son's brash mouth, President Bai. Love and charity are borderless, so the charity banquet welcomes all sects and factions of the independent state. Otherwise, we wouldn't have given your esteemed alliance an invitation. Welcome, President Bai. Patriarch Shen quickly mediated the situation. You're too polite, Mr. Shen. Helping out charity is a responsibility of every resident of the independent state. Yi Wanwan was experienced in handling this kind of situation in China's entertainment industry, and lip service came as natural to her as breathing. Who cared how insincere these words sounded? Patriarch Shen coughed lightly. Ahem, President Bai is right. After a round of chatting, everyone sat in their seats, but the atmosphere felt like timed bombs were planted throughout the hall, and everyone sat on pins and needles. They had no idea what in the world Bro Flat Top came there to do. Damn. She scared me to death. Why did Bro Flat Top come here? Lord Azura's been very busy lately, especially with befriending all the factions, so Lord Azura's appearance can be reluctantly explained. However, Bro Flat Top attending a charity banquet? There must be a great scheme. Heavens, I want to go home. In the midst of everyone's anxiety, Yi Wanwan swaggered inside and randomly found a seat. Seconds after she sat down, a shadow was cast over her from the side. Is someone sitting here? Ji Xiaoran stood there with a gentle smile. Seven Star was about to respond, yes, when Yi Wanwan hastily shook her head. No. Sit if you like. Seven Star. Old Seven, why are you so tactless? Big Dipper shoved Seven Star to the side, and attentively looked in a certain direction. Esteemed Lord Azura. Here. There's an empty spot here. Please sit. Lord Azura glanced at Big Dipper before turning to the empty seat. Then he peered at Yi Wanwan, the occupant next to that seat, and Emperor Ji, who was now sitting beside her. Yi Wanwan raised her brows. She felt like a certain person was on the brink of murder from his fury, considering his personality, so he absolutely wouldn't sit down. However, a second later, the man directly walked toward her and really sat down on the chair next to her. Yi Wanwan. This chapter is scrapped from Riyadh Light Novel. So, the seating arrangement was Yi Wanwan sitting in the center with Ji Xiran on the right, and Lord Azura on the left. This assembly was rather spectacular. Hence, everyone's gazes had traces of shock and fright when they looked at the trio. Almost nobody dared to sit close to those three. Only Shen Tianchen eagerly sat down across from Yi Wanwan. Goddess, why didn't you tell me ahead of time that you were going to come so that I could send someone to pick you up? Oh right, Goddess. What did you donate tonight? Every attending guest was required to donate something, but Yi Wanwan didn't make any preparations beforehand since it was a last-minute decision, so she had 7-star randomly buy a bracelet for donation. A bracelet? Yi Wanwan replied offhandedly. Shen Tianchen's eyes shone. A bracelet? A closely worn bracelet. I will definitely win the bid, even if I have to become broke. Chapter 1894. Normally, people would donate valuable or meaningful items to express their sincerity, so Yi Wanwan naturally wouldn't expose that she bought it on the spot. Soon, the auction began and bidding for all the donated items started one by one. All kinds of things were donated. There were conservative items like jewelry and accessories or items like pre-worn outfits to meaningful events or use fountain pens, weapons, and such donated by famous people. Everything at the beginning was basically the warm-up, and the climax of tonight was 3 treasures. The first treasure was the 9-dragon goblet donated by Patriarch Shen. Its value was very high and it was a rare treasure, so the bidder would not only contribute to charity, but would also obtain such a great treasure. They would be killing 2 birds with 1 stone and wouldn't lose out at all. The second treasure was a Tang Dynasty backsword donated by the Martial Arts Union, and was allegedly used by the previous president of the Martial Arts Union. It held immense collection value especially for practitioners of martial arts, so it was also the target of countless people. The third treasure was Emperor Ji's ring. A ring worn closely by Emperor Ji all these years was naturally a rare treasure. The auction vivaciously proceeded, and the attendants all waited in the back row. 7 Stars' gaze didn't stray from Yi Wanwan for a second, afraid that she would start trouble. Yi Wanwan's target tonight was very obvious. The ring and her honor points. Everything could wait until she obtained her honor points, so she didn't plan to cause any trouble. 7 Star was seriously worrying too much. In truth, Yi Wanwan indeed remained peaceful like nobody's business and docilely sat there, not doing anything. Since the climax was near the end, Yi Wanwan leaned crookedly to the side and kept yawning for the next hour. The 2 men next to her were rather quiet. Emperor Ji had been seriously watching the auction proceeding on the stage, along with Lord Azura as well. Yi Wanwan was truly bored from waiting. She propped her head on her hand and looked to the left then looked to the right. Then she tilted her head toward Lord Azura and blinked. Lord Azura, what did you donate? The girl's sudden approach caused her warm breath to unexpectedly spray his neck, catching him off guard. The man frowned imperceptibly and didn't answer. Let me guess. Jewelry? Yi Wanwan pressed. Veins bulged out of 7 Stars' forehead as he watched his president trying to strike conversation with Lord Azura. He almost couldn't stop himself from rushing over. She had stayed peaceful for barely 2 hours. Yi Wanwan continued to guess. It wasn't. Was it a fountain pen? Or a tie clip? She really wasn't trying to cause trouble. She was just seriously too bored. Yi Wanwan kept talking into Lord Azura's ears, and her warm breath and alluring fragrance kept assaulting him. All wrong? Was it a watch? It was finally the last straw for him, and his deep and hoarse voice coolly rang out. Cufflinks. So it was cufflinks. Yi Wanwan finally received her answer, but didn't leave and kept an arm resting across the back of Lord Azura's chair. Lord Azura. Ji Xiran suddenly called out next to Yi Wanwan's ears. President Bai. What? Yi Wanwan reflexively spun her head to look at him. It's your donated item next, Ji Xiran replied. Oh? That fast? Yi Wanwan finally straightened herself and cheered up a little, turning to the auction stage. Chapter 1895. After Yi Wanwan straightened herself, Lord Azura's gaze looked past her and landed on the man to her right. As though detecting his gaze, Ji Xiran nodded minutely and smiled faintly. That instant, Yi Wanwan inexplicably jolted and felt her back becoming rigid. Why did it feel cold all of a sudden? On the auction stage, the auctioneer announced, the donor of the next item was. Even the greatly experienced auctioneer felt stuck and took half a day to finish speaking. The president of the Fearless Alliance. By phone. President Bai's auction item is a crystal bracelet. Silence enveloped the venue. Bro Flattop came running to contribute to charity and donated something. This scene was seriously too mystical. Yi Wanwan had 7-star casually purchased this bracelet at a shopping center, so the crystal wasn't too great quality and only cost $10,000. An average item at most. There wasn't any base price for the donated items at this charity auction, and everyone could bid however they wanted. But everyone present was clever and experienced, so they could roughly estimate the price and give a base price higher than the item's original price. Everyone can start bidding. The auctioneer continued nervously. Another silence enveloped the venue and no one raised their placard to put up a bid. Shin Tianchen looked to the left and right. He was planning to wait until the bid proceeded further to avoid winning in one go. However, no one was competing against him. How could he showcase his advantage of being wealthy now? This was the first poor turnout at this auction, and even the auctioneer felt a bit awkward and struggled to reach for words while sweating profusely. He tried to brag about the quality of the bracelet, but anyone with an eye could see it was a typical store-bought item, and was worth several 10,000s at most. Shin Tianchen was upset at first but became excited quickly. Since no one was starting a bid, wouldn't he be saving the day if he was the first to bid? He was about to speak when a warm and gentle voice rang out in the hall. 1 million. Shin Tianchen was shocked. He didn't expect someone to snatch his chance. Who was it? He turned to the owner of the placard. Number 13 Ji Xiran. What's going on? Yi Wanwan was collectedly sitting in her seat waiting for Ji Xiran's ring to be auctioned without any care for her own auction item. She didn't expect Ji Xiran to actually start bidding, and was shocked when he directly rose the price tenfold. Hey Ji Xiran, what are you doing? Yi Wanwan turned to Ji Xiran. Bidding. What about it? Ji Xiran gently asked. Yi Wanwan scratched her head. Ahem, you aren't trying to make me look good, right? Is there a problem with that? Ji Xiran chuckled and admitted it frankly. Yi Wanwan was startled. Ahem, thank you, but Ji Xiran interrupted. Xiaofeng, no need to thank me with our relationship. Yi Wanwan choked. What I mean is that I just randomly bought this thing at the shopping center, and it only cost me 88,000 after a discount. Less than 100,000, so you don't need to spend this money. Moreover, when does my Fearless Alliance ever need to worry about appearances and face? Being shameless is our style and specialty. After saying that, Yi Wanwan felt something was amiss. Her tone sounded like her heart ached about Ji Xiran spending money. Ji Xiran seemed to cheer up from her words and looked at her happily, indulgence and pampering affection flowing from his eyes. All right, as you wish. Chapter 1896. I can't even touch you now? Yi Wanwan was almost blinded by Ji Xiran's smile, but breathed a sigh of relief at successfully persuading him. However, just as she relaxed, a cold voice rang out next to her. 10 million. Damn. What is happening? 10 million? And number 9 Lord Azura bids 10 million. The auctioneer stared in the direction of the placard, flabbergasted, and another commotion ran through the venue. Damn. That lousy bracelet is worth several 10,000 at most, right? Emperor Ji is giving enough face by bidding 1 million. What's going on with Lord Azura? 10 million? Did I hear it wrong? Don't tell me this bracelet is actually some kind of treasure? It's possible. Otherwise, why would two powerful figures like Lord Azura and Emperor Ji fight over it? Shin Tianchen looked at Lord Azura then Emperor Ji dumbfounded. What in the world was happening? Yi Wanwan froze for 3 seconds before glaring at the man next to her. Damn. 10 million. Was this man insane? Was money that easy to earn? How could he be so wasteful? If Yi Wanwan had unintentionally spoken easily misunderstood words to Ji Xiran earlier, Yi Wanwan earnestly felt her heart aching this time. Shit. Lin Ke exasperatedly covered his face in the rear seats. My dear brother, you're going to lose your disguise if you continue like this. Do you understand? As expected, as soon as ninth brother collides into Ji Xiran, he can lose control any second. In the midst of Yi Wanwan's stare down of Lord Azura, she heard the occupant to her right speaking again. 20 million, Ji Xiran called. Yi Wanwan was stunned. Hey, what's going on? Didn't you promise you wouldn't bid anymore? Yi Wanwan hastily asked Ji Xiran. The smile in Ji Xiran's eyes ebbed a few degrees, and he calmly said, Ignore us, Xiaofeng. This is business between Lord Azura and me. Yi Wanwan was dumbfounded. How did it become their business? What business could they have? What followed after was a whirlwind of price jacking that dazed the audience. 100 million! A voice suddenly shouted, shocking the entire venue. It was Shen Tianqian who finally regained his wits. Yi Wanwan, 100 million? Yi Wanwan's heart was on the verge of bleeding. Money. All of this is money. If you're that wealthy, can't you give it to me directly? I can use it to buy honor points. This lousy bracelet was really cheap. When Yi Wanwan saw Lord Azura about to raise his placard still, she pounced at him, pressing down his hand. Stop. Her fragrance assaulted him, and he stared at her warm little hand, his stormy darkness slowly receding. It seemed like he had woken up from a dream and realized what he just did. Lin Ke, who witnessed the entire process of his ninth brother spiraling out of control, had a look of despair on his face. Si Yihan pinched his brows with his fingers, gradually recovering his Lord Azura style of aloofness and coldness. He rigidly pulled out his pressed hand. Yi Wanwan's lip twitched and her face swished to black. I can't even touch you now? You won't let me touch you, huh? Thankfully, Emperor Ji also stopped raising the price. And so, in the end, this lousy bracelet, which cost less than 100,000 after the discount, was sold for the astronomical price of 100 million to Tycoon Shen. Everyone's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets when they witnessed this lousy thing sold for 100 million. Chapter 1897. Heard a little from being crushed by money. The Shen family is truly kind and charitable. Admirable. Everyone marveled and flattered Shen Tianqian. Yi Wanwan. Were all wealthy people foolish like this? Shen Tianqian didn't detect any of the underlying ripples just now and giddily boasted to Yi Wanwan. Goddess, I'll definitely treasure this bracelet for the rest of my life. Yi Wanwan wordlessly rubbed her forehead. Her head pounded right now. She heard a little from being crushed by money. She didn't cheat on a certain person despite being crushed like this. It was seriously true love, alright? After this auction round, Yi Wanwan simply felt like she was sucked dry, and it was pure willpower that kept her going as she waited for Ji Xiran's ring. Soon, the climax auction items were about to be presented, and everyone's attention slowly drifted back to the auction stage. The first item was the 9-dragon goblet with a starting price of 80 million. An intense fight later, the goblet was won by an antique collector at the high price of 200 million. Everyone couldn't help but muse that only a treasure soon. It was the climax auction items, and everyone's attention slowly gathered back to the auction stage. At this level was worth 200 million. Yet, Bro Flat Top's shoddy bracelet was sold for 100 million. This was a marvel never before seen in the history of the auction. Next was the Tang backsword once used by the previous president of the Martial Arts Union. When the red cloth was pulled back and the Tang backsword was revealed, Yi Wanwan's brows twitched for no reason. Due to a long period of disuse, this sword looked a bit old, and the blade was blunt. It silently laid there, emitting an ancient and profound sense of history and a striking bloodthirstiness. This backsword was very familiar. While Yi Wanwan was confusedly examining the backsword and pondering over this strange feeling, the bid started in full swing. In the end, Ji Xiran won the bid for the Tang backsword, and the guests around them all politely and amiably toasted him. Congratulations, Emperor Ji. Ji Xiran nodded in thanks and looked at Yi Wanwan. Xiaofeng, do you like that sword? When they were outside, Emperor Ji usually called her president by But for some reason he reverted back to Xiaofeng on this occasion. Yi Wanwan returned to the present. No, it just feels weirdly familiar. Ji Xiran looked at the girl deeply. Is that so? The next item to be auctioned is Mr. Ji Xiran's ring. The auctioneer's voice rang out from the stage. Yi Wanwan straightened up instantly, all her attention on the stage. Although the value of Ji Xiran's ring certainly wasn't as much as the 9-dragon goblet, it was possible that its final sold price could be as high as the goblet due to its owner. This chapter is scrapped from Riyadh Light Novel. The guests all rubbed their hands in preparation for tonight's battle. Word had it that third Miss Shen would also participate in the bid for this item, but many people still wanted to compete for it since no one present was poor. Third Miss Shen's personal assistant reassured her with a smile. Don't worry, Third Miss. Emperor Ji's ring will definitely belong to you. Third Miss Shen raised her chin and confidently said, That goes without saying. Then she fervently turned to Ji Xiran. Now the bidding begins. You may all start naming your bids. The auctioneer passionately announced. 10 million. An upper-class woman called out, doubling the price immediately. 15 million. 20 million. Bids surged one after another, and everyone tacitly raised their bids by an entire 5 million. The intense competition over this ring was apparent. Chapter 1898. Yi Wanwan didn't immediately start bidding, mostly out of bashfulness. If it were someone else, she would have definitely been the first to bid and win it at the lowest price possible. However, this was Ji Xiran. Ji Xiran helped her too much, so she had to give him some face and couldn't be too rude. And so, Yi Wanwan watched for an opportunity and waited for everyone to hype it up a bit more. It would be alright as long as she made her bid before Third Miss Shen skyrocketed the price. She sharply caught Third Miss Shen about to raise her sign. Now. 21 million. Yi Wanwan shouted. At the raising of Yi Wanwan's number 8 placard, the volume drained from the entire venue, a venue that was lively just a second ago. The confident and determined Third Miss Shen suddenly lost her ability to raise her hand like her hand got chopped. Her face was ashen as she foolishly stared at Bai Feng, evidently not anticipating Bro Flat Top to also bid for this ring. Damn it. It's Bai Feng. Why is Bai Feng bidding for Emperor Ji's ring? She wouldn't care about any guest present who was competing with her since an auction was a fair and open competition won by the highest bidder. However, it just had to be Bro Flat Top. No, she had to get this ring. Third Miss shakily wanted to raise her placard. Third Miss. Don't. Please reconsider. Her assistant pressed down her Miss hand, frightened stiff and hastily advised. Third Miss. That's Bro Flat Top Bai Feng. Who knows what she might do in her madness? Even Sir isn't willing to provoke someone like her. You mustn't be impulsive, Third Miss. It's just a ring. But this ring was supposed to be mine. Third Miss Shen angrily squeezed out. She had already prepared 200 million for this, but was going to lose to 21 million? The assistant looked panicked. I know. But since Bai Feng bid, it means she's telling everyone she wants this ring. If you publicly fight with her over it, you'd be stripping all pretenses with her. It'd be better to offend a gentleman than a scoundrel. Third Miss Shen was still unwilling to accept this, but she met her father's warning glare. As expected, even father wasn't willing to provoke Bai Feng. Third Miss Shen had no choice but to grit her teeth and put her sign down. The auctioneer kept his attention on Third Miss Shen, and unsurprisingly watched her lower her sign, her face pale. Third Miss Shen didn't dare to raise her sign. After all, who would suicidally bid against the president of the Fearless Alliance? No one, of course. Yi Wanwan looked unsurprised and sat there, unfazed. When she saw Third Miss Shen putting down her placard, she even nodded at Third Miss Shen with a smile. Thanks. Third Miss Shen nearly burst into angry tears when she saw Bai Feng's look. This was a robbery. So unfair. Ji Xiran retained his perpetual smile when Yi Wanwan intercepted the bid halfway through and didn't look too surprised. His gaze landed on the ring on the auction stage, and his face turned a bit blank, as though he was absorbed in one of his memories. Meanwhile, Shen Tianchen looked like he'd been wronged. Goddess, you're bidding for Emperor Ji's ring, but you didn't bid for my item. Upon seeing a lack of further bids, The auctioneer started counting down. President Fearless by phone for 21 million, going once. There was complete silence. 7-star had no choice but to sigh and accept his fate. Some of the guests started whispering in speculation. Damn. What's Bro Flat Top trying to do by bidding for Emperor G's ring? Chapter 1899. I heard Bro Flat Top has a keen fondness for beautiful men. She probably took a fancy to Emperor G. Damn. That's possible. What a pity. Emperor G's in danger from being pestered by a hoodlum. President Fearless by phone for 21 million, going twice. The auctioneer counted down again. President Fearless by phone for 21 million, going thry. As the auctioneer said that, he lowered the hammer in his hand. Yi Wanwan had nothing but excitement on her face. This is great. My honor points are home. However, the second before the auctioneer slammed down the hammer, announcing the winner, a nonchalant voice rang out from the deadly silent crowd. 30 million. Swish, swish, swish. Everyone automatically turned to the speaker to see who in the world had the courage to fight over something with Bro Flat Top. The person who raised the placard was number 9, Lord Azura. Damn. Lord Azura? And no wonder. The only one in the entire banquet who would dare to snatch something from the Fearless Alliance was probably Azura. Not to mention the shocked guests. But Yi Wanwan's eyes nearly stuck to the man's face with her hard glare. Fuck. My honor points were about to be mine, but they got cut off. Damn. What are you doing? Yi Wanwan questioned aggressively without thinking in her fury. The man's expression was as cool and expressionless as always, as though nothing happened. Bidding, of course. You, bid your ass. He's trying to anger me to death. Yi Wanwan gritted her teeth. 31 million. She merely had an estimate of 20 million, and didn't have any more money than that, so she could only stubbornly persist. The man next to her promptly said, 40 million. Yi Wanwan choked. 41 million. 50 million. Yi Wanwan was about to spit out blood, but she couldn't. She couldn't stand this down. Yi Wanwan ignored 7-star's frantic warning and continued. 51 million. Lord Azura's eyes continued to chill, as Yi Wanwan persistently tried to outbid him. 100 million. Yi Wanwan. The auctioneer sensed the hostile atmosphere and asked with trepidation. Lord Azura is offering 100 million. Does anyone else have an offer? Yi Wanwan was going to fight him on the spot. She couldn't do it. She had to brawl with this guy right now. Yi Wanwan did exactly as she wanted. She shot up and fiercely glared at the man. You're doing it on purpose, aren't you? Everyone reflexively retreated to the periphery. Shit. Bro Flat Top is about to wreak havoc. What do you mean, President Bai? Lord Azura peered up at her. From her position looking down, the man's eyelashes looked black and long, like the wings of a butterfly, and his eyes were extraordinarily good-looking. Fuck. Yi Wanwan. What are you looking at now, of all times? Yi Wanwan instantly reverted back to her enraged state. You see, bastard. Today I'm. 2 shadows swiftly dashed forward in the nick of time, and each person held back one side of her body. Sisfong, calm down, calm down. Big Dipper yelled. Sisfong, you can't, 7-star advised. Big Dipper was trembling with fear. Ah, Sisfong, our fearless alliance might be fearless of everyone, but this one, we really can't. I'm still a little scared. Can't we stand down a bit? Yi Wanwan, stand down your ass. I'm about to be angered to death by this guy. Chapter 1900. Whoever dares to compete with me. Ji Xiuran imperceptibly glanced at Lord Azura. He also couldn't resolve the current situation since he couldn't bid for his own auction item. The auctioneer tentative called, 100 million going once, 100 million going twice, 100 million going thrice. And so, in the end, Emperor Ji's ring was sold to Lord Azura in a jaw-dropping moment. Big Dipper secretly stared at the duo. See. I was saying that Lord Azura and Emperor Ji are a couple. Quiet, 7-star snapped. 7-star quietly reminded Yi Wanwan. Sisfong, we should leave. Yi Wanwan's objective was the ring. Now that the ring was gone, There was no point in staying. Who said I'm gonna leave? It hasn't ended yet. Yi Wanwan's fury boiled, and she plopped back down on her chair. The auctioneer fearfully announced the auction would continue, and Big Dipper and Seven Star had no choice but to continue waiting in the back, seeing as they couldn't persuade Yi Wanwan to leave. From the corners of his eyes, Lord Azura glimpsed at the girl's angrily flushed cheeks and the brilliant flame burning in her eyes, and he became dazed. Then he recalled something and his eyes dimmed again, transforming into an endless abyss. The donor of this auction item was the leader of Azura, Lord Azura. It's a pair of obsidian cufflinks. Please start bidding. The auctioneer wiped his sweat. Why was it another tricky character? Following the auctioneer's words was another fervent uproar, especially from the women. Wah! Lord Azura actually donated an item too. It's cufflinks. They're also closely worn items. Azura might be a bit wicked, but Lord Azura is seriously too good-looking. That's right, that's right. I'm going to bid on this item to collect it. I also want it, I also want it. Everyone compete fairly. Enough, stop arguing. It's starting, it's starting. On the stage, the auctioneer announced the start of the bidding. Everyone held their breaths and waited on their toes, preparing to raise their placards. However, at that moment, a placard was lifted, followed by a languid voice. I offer $1. Rage lingered in Yi Wanwan's eyes, along with a few traces of murderous aura, as she coolly glanced at those enthusiastic socialites. Whoever dares to compete with me, just try. All the women were instantly sent trembling with fright like little chicks. Why's it her again? $1. Baifeng's gone mad, right? What's the difference between this and direct robbery? This is obviously blatant robbery, alright. Yi Wanwan snorted. I'm robbing openly. So what? Bite me. Was written all over her face. After Yi Wanwan's yell of $1. No one else dared to bid. Even if this was the lowest price in history, and even if a beggar wouldn't pick it up after it dropped on the ground, no one dared to counterbid. The auctioneer had never encountered this kind of situation in his career. He felt like this was the biggest challenge of his career. Hey, time's up. Shouldn't you start counting down? Yi Wanwan threateningly reminded him, lightly tapping her armrest. The auctioneer shuddered and hastily said, Yes, President of the Fearless Alliance by phone. $1 going once, $1 going twice, $1 going thrice. Towards the end, the auctioneer didn't dare to meet Lord Azura's eyes. Going thrice sold. The item he donated was bought for $1. This was simply public humiliation. A face-slapping and provocation. Azura and the Fearless Alliance were probably going to start a war, right? The color drained from Seven Star's face. He prepared himself for the worst already, but didn't expect reality to be more excruciating. Chapter 19, one having a lover's spat. This vixen has gone too far. This was the nth time Jiang Yan had uttered this same line out of fury. Little Red, calm down. Lin Ke clapped the aggravated Jiang Yan's shoulder. They're just having a lover's spat. Why do you keep blindly getting mixed up into it? However, this time, the spat had gotten a little serious. Lin Ke had never seen ninth brother angered to this extent. Yi Wanwan was truly too capable. This year's charity auction experienced all sorts of twists and turns and surprises, providing a rather thrilling and frightening night. From the arrival of President Fearless and Lord Azura to Emperor Ji, and Lord Azura simultaneously bidding for Bro Flattop's bracelet for no reason to Bro Flattop, and Lord Azura clashing, and fighting over Emperor Ji's ring to Bro Flattop snatching Lord Azura's cufflinks with $1. Every event sent the onlookers' jaws dropping. Their hypotheses that formed seconds ago were constantly turned over in the next second inexplicably. After Baifeng bought Lord Azura's valuable obsidian cufflinks at the price of $1, everyone subconsciously turned to Lord Azura. Their bums hovered above their chairs, wanting nothing more than to escape for their lives immediately. However, Lord Azura was still Lord Azura. Despite being provoked publicly in this fashion, he suppressed his rage, but his complexion, it was terrifying. Shit. I'm scared to death. The smell of gunpowder tonight is too frightening. A perfectly fine charity banquet was ruined by Bro Flattop. She really came here to crash the party, didn't she? Isn't the Fearless Alliance too gutsy? First, they sabotaged the price of Emperor Ji's ring and stole from Third Miss Shin. Now they stole Lord Azura's cufflinks with that kind of price and offended all the big shots here. Lord Azura's murderous face looks especially torrential. I think the Fearless Alliance will definitely faceplant this time. They should have thought about who they were provoking. The atmosphere in the venue was taut as a string, and everyone held their breaths and prepared to escape for their lives. The only relaxed person was probably Yi Wanwan. After stealing the cufflinks, she cheerfully glanced at the man to her left. Although she really didn't want to admit it, she might have snatched the cufflinks to vent her anger, but also because she disliked those women's covetous glances and couldn't tolerate this pair of cufflinks ending up in another woman's hands. After the auction ended, the employees started delivering everyone's auctioned items. Yi Wanwan brazenly asked Big Dipper, "Do you have a coin on you?" Big Dipper dug everywhere, and really pulled out a $1 coin. Yi Wanwan took it and casually flicked it with a ding at the employee. Then she took the obsidian cufflinks packaged in a black velvet box from the employee's hands. This chapter is scrapped from Riyadh Light Novel. Big Dipper quietly whispered next to Yi Wanwan's ear. "Sis Feng, I think you should just give the cufflinks to Emperor Ji, and let Emperor Ji and Lord Azura bond together." Veins twitched on Yi Wanwan's forehead, and she mercilessly kicked Big Dipper. "Bond them together your ass. Why else would you need these cufflinks? You should do them a favor instead. Look at how Lord Azura is staring at the cufflinks in your hands, about to be angered to death." Big Dipper feebly protested. "Can't I throw them around like toys?" Yi Wanwan glared at him. The second Yi Wanwan spoke, the temperature in the hall seemed to have dropped a few more degrees. At that moment, an employee cautiously walked over, holding the ring that Lord Azura bought for 100 million. "Esteemed Lord Azura, here's your ring." Yi Wanwan fumed. "Damn. Mine. It's clearly mine, okay?" Chapter 1902. His taste is too frightening. The man minutely nodded, and ordered Jiang Yan to swipe his card and pay for it on the spot. Then his slender fingers accepted the box. Yi Wanwan intently stared at the ring, her eyes nearly sending the ring's box ablaze. Ugh. So infuriating. My honor points, Ji Shiran, do you have any other ring? Yi Wanwan asked with one last ray of hope without any care for how awful a certain person's face would be after she asked this question. Ji Shiran shook his head. "I don't. I'm not accustomed to wearing rings, so this was the only one." Then damn. It appeared the person who issued the mission only wanted this ring. If she tried to slide by with another ring, it wouldn't work. At that moment, Third Miss Shin marched over and stopped in front of Lord Azura. Third Miss Shin first shyly glanced at Ji Shiran, before turning to fervently stare at the ring in Lord Azura's hands. However, she cowered a little due to the other man's overly intimidating aura before scrounging up her courage and asking, "Esteemed Lord Azura, could you sell this ring to me?" As Third Miss Shin said that, she mused to herself, "Wow, Lord Azura looks even prettier up close." Who would have expected Lord Azura, who was rumored to look like Rakshasa, would turn out to be so handsome? Too bad he was so frightening and made everyone too scared to approach him. In contrast, Ji Shiran was much gentler. "I can give double the price," Third Miss Shin confidently offered. Yi Wanwan nearly choked on her own spit from shock. Damn. Double. That was 200 million. She started with 200 freaking million. Rich people like the Shun family were truly too much. After Third Miss Shun said that, she glanced at Yi Wanwan gloatingly. She didn't believe there was anything in this world that couldn't be resolved by money. There was an 80% chance Lord Azura fought for this ring due to a conflict with Bro Flattop, and wanted to antagonize her. The other reason was to use this 100 million of charity money to befriend the Shun family. Since it was like that, if she offered 200 million to buy this ring from Lord Azura, he would definitely agree to sell it to her as long as he was right in the head. The assistant next to Third Miss Shin also thought this method was feasible, so she didn't stop her miss. How about it, Lord Azura? Third Miss Shin asked self-assuredly. The man aloofly glanced at Third Miss Shen from the corner of his eyes and indifferently said, "No." Third Miss Shen, Yi Wanwan, Big Dipper. Shen Tianchen suddenly interrupted this peculiar silence and belligerently shouted, "I offer 250 million. Sell it to me, Lord Azura." Then Shen Tianchen turned fawningly to Yi Wanwan, his eyes brightly shining. "Don't worry, goddess. I will definitely help you get anything you want." Third Miss Shen stomped her foot in anger. "Is there something wrong with your head, brother?" She already had a hard time understanding why Shen Tianchen spent 100 million to buy Bro Flat Top's lousy bracelet for no good reason tonight. And now he was calling Bro Flat Top goddess? Her brother didn't take a liking to Bro Flat Top, right? Too frightening. His taste was too intense. Shen Tianchen ignored his sister and continued to pester Lord Azura. "No, 300 million. I'll pay 300 million. That should be enough, right?" He was offering more money than was sensible already. There was probably no one who could reject it. Yi Wanwan at least felt like she would have sold it if it were her. Chapter 1903 Lord Azura's love for Emperor Ji was probably true love. Lord Azura glanced at Shen Tianchen, and some extremely icy emotions leaked out from his gloomy eyes, sending an involuntary shiver down Shen Tianchen's spine. Damn. Why did Lord Azura look at me so frighteningly? I'm an extravagant spender. Who on this planet doesn't face me with a grin? Shen Tianchen gulped. How about you name any price you want? Lord Azura handed the ring to Jiang Yan for safekeeping and promptly turned, leaving behind the deep and hoarse words, "Not for sale," in his wake. Shen Tianchen, Third Miss Shen, Yi Wanwan, 300 million. It was 300 million. Yi Wanwan suddenly started to deeply suspect that Lord Azura's love for Emperor Ji was probably true love. Watching Lord Azura leave with her 10,000 honor points in tow, Yi Wanwan was about to explode from her fury. Why did she bother worrying about those cufflinks ending up in another woman's hands? Yi Wanwan intently stared at the man leaving with her honor points for a moment before turning to Third Miss Shen and asking, "Third Miss, do you want these cufflinks? If you want them, I'll sell them to you cheaper and give you a discount at 100 million. The girl's enraged voice floated from behind him. When Lord Azura heard her wanting to sell his cufflinks, his steps seemed to pause for a moment, and his back also stiffened. But he quickly recovered and disappeared into the dark night. Third Miss Shen started for a moment before her face became livid with anger. "You bought it for $1 yet you're selling it for 100 million. Why don't you come and rob me instead?" Yi Wanwan pursed her lips. "Who cares how much I bought it for? These cufflinks are worth this price." After her fury passed, Third Miss Shen mulled it over and felt Bai Feng was right. It was worth 100 million. She wouldn't be losing anything really. Moreover, Lord Azura was so good looking. Third Miss Shen was tempted. Third Miss Shen coughed lightly and said, 100 million is it? Sure. I'll buy the cufflinks. Send money to her. Third Miss Shen turned to her assistant and instructed her before extending her hand toward Yi Wanwan. "Give me the cufflinks." Big Dipper was flabbergasted as he witnessed this, overwhelmed with admiration. "You're too awesome, Sis Feng. $1 in exchange for 100 million. This was simply an extremely profitable exchange. Hurry and give it to her," Big Dipper urged. Yi Wanwan met Third Miss Shen's anticipatory face, and her nonchalant expression chilled. "You want to buy these cufflinks with a mere 100 million? Aren't you dreaming too much?" "Bai Feng, what do you mean?" "Nothing. I'm not selling." "Bai Feng, you. It was clearly you who said you were selling. Are you playing me?" Third Miss Shen nearly spat out blood from anger. Yi Wanwan answered, "Yes, so what?" Third Miss Shen. Big Dipper was stunned. "Sis Feng, are you mad? Why aren't you selling? That's 100 million. 100 million. What about 100 million? Is it a lot?" Yi Wanwan rolled her eyes at him. It freaking really was a lot. But since she rejected it already, she couldn't regret it. What a good-for-nothing she was. She was tormented to this extent, and she still couldn't part with some lousy cufflinks of his. "Let's go home." Yi Wanwan finally left after sending chickens and dogs flying everywhere at the charity banquet and offending everyone. 7-star followed her, worried. He wasn't worried about other people since they wouldn't have the nerve to attack the Fearless Alliance about this tiny matter, but Lord Azura. What Sisfong did tonight was truly overboard. Azura and the Fearless Alliance had a hostile relationship to begin with, so this undoubtedly would make things worse. Chapter 1904. You seem to like it. Ji Xiuran stepped out of the banquet hall after her, and Skeleton held a long rectangular-shaped box next to him. Xiaofeng. Yi Wanwan reflexively paused and turned around at her name. Emperor Ji. Emperor Ji glanced at Skeleton, and the man nodded before carrying the box to Yi Wanwan. This is... Yi Wanwan didn't understand. This Tang backsword is for you, Ji Xiuran replied. Yi Wanwan was astonished. Huh? For me? Yes. You seem to like it, Ji Xiuran nonchalantly answered, like it was a matter-of-course thing. Big Dipper and 7-star looked at each other, surprise on their faces. What was going on with Emperor Ji? Why did his attitude feel so odd? And this wasn't the first time they had this feeling. Originally, the Fearless Alliance and Emperor Ji should have been enemies after a conflict between the two, but ever since Sisfong returned, they became closer and closer instead of intensifying their hostility. However, no matter how 7-star thought about it, he couldn't understand why Ji Xiuran would befriend a notorious and ill-reputed organization like the Fearless Alliance. Yi Wanwan sweated profusely instantly. I can't. This is too valuable. As one of tonight's climax auction items, this backsword was sold for an astronomical price of several hundred million. Big Dipper was stupefied. Damn. Isn't this the Tang backsword once used by the previous president of the Martial Arts Union? The dream collector item of every martial artist and every fanboy in the independent state. Sisfong, what's wrong with you? Shouldn't you shamelessly hurry and accept this? Why are you acting all gentlemanly and pious in front of Emperor Ji? Gentlemanly your ass. Shut up. Yi Wanwan kicked him before turning back to Ji Xiuran and saying, Ahem, thank you, but this backsword is truly too valuable. I can't accept it. Alright, she also thought she would inexplicably become very gentlemanly every time she was with Ji Xiuran. Ji Xiuran didn't mind and chuckled lightly. Then take it to play with for a few days and return it to me later. Yi Wanwan was somewhat tempted as she stared at the backsword. Ever since she saw this backsword at the banquet hall, her mind had been ill at ease, so this would be the perfect time to borrow it to study it. Skeleton had already stepped forward and handed the box to Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan carefully accepted it. Ahem, then thanks. I'll definitely protect it well. No problem. Ji Xiuran smiled before recalling something, and his smile dimmed. Apologies. I couldn't bid for my own donated item. That ring. The flames in Yi Wanwan's heart combusted once more. She forcibly repressed it and squeezed out between gritted teeth. No worries, I have a solution. Then Yi Wanwan was probably afraid of Ji Xiuran misunderstanding and hastily coughed and explained. Ahem, please don't misunderstand. I didn't mean anything else by it. I actually wanted this ring because I wanted to exchange it for Scarlet Flame's academies. Didn't mean anything else? Ji Xiuran interrupted, his light-colored eyes meaningfully landing on her face. Yi Wanwan felt a bit awkward. As by Feng, she had a complicated secret relationship with Ji Xiuran, so Ji Xiuran probably wouldn't believe she wanted it purely for honor points. Before Yi Wanwan could gather a good response, Big Dipper interjected. No other meaning? Sisfong, who the heck are you trying to fool? Yi Wanwan's veins popped on her forehead. Big Dipper, I feel like you've been feeling a bit itchy recently. Big Dipper instantly escaped 10 feet away. No. Sisfong, you absolutely had no other meaning. You did it for love and justice. Yi Wanwan. Chapter 1905. What happened to not being bewitched by looks? On the trip back in the car, 7-star seemed to have finally understood something. Sisfong, what did you mean just now? Did you bid for Emperor Ji's ring to exchange it for Scarlet Flame's Academy's honor points? Yi Wanwan's face was dark as the ocean. and the fire in her eyes burst to the heavens. She looked like a merchant who came home with a prosperous load, but encountered bandits during her journey, and was robbed of everything she had. She enunciated each word carefully. Obtaining Emperor Ji's personal ring, S-rank mission, 10,000 honor points. Yes, and then it all flew out of her hands. Realization dawned on Big Dipper. So you were aiming for honor points, Sis Fong. What else? Do I look a lecherous and tyrannical monarch who ignores her duties, pranks her officials, and gets bewitched by looks all day long? Yi Wanwan snapped brusquely. Out of an overwhelming desire to survive, Big Dipper didn't act suicidally for once and said, I did think that originally, but after today, I will reflect on my previous misunderstandings of you, Sis Fong. Being lecherous is merely your facade and disguise. In reality, you're the most logical, wisest, most thoughtful of the circumstances, and most strategic, brilliant ruler. Yi Wanwan jovially accepted Big Dipper's accolade of praises. Much better. The car drove onward smoothly, and happened to pass by a roadside stall that had a lot of handicrafts hooked by red strings displayed. Yi Wanwan called out to the driving 7-star. Wait, 7-star, stop the car. Go out and help me buy a red string from the owner. Sis Fong, do you want to buy a pendant? 7-star inquired. No, I just want a piece of string. All right. 7-star didn't know what Yi Wanwan wanted the red string for, but left the car to buy it anyway. 7-star politely communicated with the owner, a middle-aged woman, and quickly returned to the car. How did it go? Did you buy it? Yi Wanwan asked. 7-star handed the red string to Yi Wanwan. The owner gave it for free. Yi Wanwan happily patted 7-star's cheeks. Nice, nice. Good job. 7-star pursed his lips with a slightly abashed expression. Big Dipper instantly grumbled. It was just a piece of string. If I went, I would have conned a ball out of her. Yi Wanwan rolled her eyes. However, Sis Fong, why did you tell old 7 to buy this lousy, worthless piece of string? Big Dipper asked curiously. 7-star also looked puzzled. Yi Wanwan didn't reply and calmly pulled out the black velvet box from her pocket. Big Dipper's eyes brightened the second he saw this box. Lord Azura's cufflinks. That was 100 million. 100 million. Sis Fong, did you finally decide to sell it? I knew it. You must have not sold it to Third Mission just now because you wanted to sell it to someone else for a higher price. For these cufflinks, I don't think it'd be a problem if you raised the price some more and sold it for 200 million. You're truly too brilliant, Sis Fong. In the midst of Big Dipper's onslaught, Yi Wanwan pulled out the obsidian cufflinks and strung them together with the red string before wearing it around her neck. What do you think? Look good? Yi Wanwan's fair and delicate fingers gently ran over the cufflinks as she lazily asked with a raise of her brows. Big Dipper. 200 million. How could it not be good-looking? What happened to not being lecherous and tyrannical? What happened to not being a terrible ruler? What happened to not being bewitched by looks? Thank goodness she didn't win Ji Xiaoran's ring. If she got it, would she wear Emperor Ji's ring on her hand and Lord Azura's cufflinks around her neck? Chapter 1906. All robbed? Help me send a message to Lord Azura. Yi Wanwan ordered Big Dipper after exiting the car. 7-star's eyebrows twitched. The president just simmered down. What did she want to do now? Big Dipper blinked. Huh? Do you want to write a love letter to Lord Azura again? What freaking love letter? Tell him I want that ring, and he can bring up any terms he wants, Yi Wanwan replied. Big Dipper mumbled. Ahem, you should just give up, Sis Fong. Lord Azura didn't sell it to eldest young Master Shin even at 300 million. Yi Wanwan glared at him. Just do as I say. Okay. Big Dipper felt like he'd discovered the truth. The honor points were merely a cover, and she actually wanted Emperor Ji's personal ring for herself. After returning to the Fearless Alliance, Yi Wanwan also had Big Dipper go to the archives and search for some old records of the independent state. Ever since learning about the Rose of Death's actual existence, she was intrigued. To Yi Wanwan, the Fearless Alliance was considered a T1 tier faction, and was rather top-notch already. It might not match up to Emperor Ji's faction or Lord Azura's Azura, but it shouldn't be too inferior. Aside from immensely powerful factions like them, the ancient clans of the independent state, and the supposed protectors of justice in the independent state, the martial arts union, Yi Wanwan found it hard to believe that any of those factions, including the patrician Nie Ling and Ji families, couldn't defeat the Rose of Death. Of course, a family built from money like the Shen family didn't count as a combative power. However, the Rose of Death was once the nightmare of the entire independent state, and remained a taboo after it was destroyed. Yi Wanwan truly couldn't understand this. Just how strong was the Rose of Death that they could make the entire independent state act so wary of it? Sis Feng, are you serious? Big Dipper dumbfoundedly looked at her. Yi Wanwan glanced at him. Nonsense. I'm just having you get a few books. What could I be joking about? Big Dipper scratched the back of his head. But Sis Feng, we all don't read books. Although our fearless alliance has a gigantic library, doesn't it just store all the jewelry and treasures we stole? Why would we have something as cheap as books? Big Dipper, it doesn't work that way. Books are steps for human advancement, and ancient texts especially are grand sources of knowledge and experience left behind from our forebears. So how could you call books cheap? A good book can't be traded for 1,000 pieces of gold. Yi Wanwan lectured him like an elder. Big Dipper looked at her in astonishment, and looked like he wanted to say something, but could only nod. Okay. Alright, take me to the library to see the treasures we stole then. Yi Wanwan turned to him seriously. Big Dipper. Soon, Yi Wanwan followed Big Dipper to the entrance of the Fearless Alliance's library, which was guarded by some Fearless Alliance elites. President. The Fearless Alliance elites were surprised by the arrival of Yi Wanwan. Their president had never visited the library. What are you standing around for? Hurry and open the door. Yi Wanwan impatiently ordered while rubbing her hands. A member quickly opened the doors to the library. Gold light sparkled in the enormous library, and the jewels haphazardly thrown on the floor glowed lustrously. When Yi Wanwan and Big Dipper entered the library, they both gasped in shock. It's all mine, Yi Wanwan exclaimed. My dear mother, so blinding, Big Dipper mumbled. Aside from a small amount of gold and diamonds, there was a large amount of rare precious stones as well as classical calligraphy and paintings. Every rare and priceless treasure imaginable. Stars glittered from Yi Wanwan's eyes. This was too freaking extravagant. We stole all of this. Yi Wanwan questioned Big Dipper. Big Dipper frantically nodded like a chick pecking grain. That's right, Sis Feng. We stole most of this. After each robbery, the Fearless Alliance sells the majority of the loot. For the items that you like, Sis Feng, you keep it and toss it in the library. Chapter 1907. Actually so rich? Yi Wanwan had nothing but satisfaction on her face. What kind of wretched and heartless things had the Fearless Alliance done? Robbing all these treasures and jewels. Alright, you can leave. Yi Wanwan flicked her hand at Big Dipper. Big Dipper left the library begrudgingly. As Yi Wanwan surveyed the library piled high with jewels and treasures, she realized she was actually so rich for the first time. Yi Wanwan immediately started organizing the jewels by herself. Since there were so many treasures, it wouldn't hurt to sell some so that she could pay those high-ranked mercenaries from Scarlet Flame's academy to keep doing missions for her. Whether she could recover her memory or not would rely on these treasures. However, after rummaging for a long time, she discovered that she really liked every item and didn't want to sell a single one. Moreover, these were considered stolen goods, so she probably couldn't sell them. Yi Wanwan's gaze suddenly landed on a ring silently sitting on top of a shelf. She finished organizing. The material of the ring wasn't super valuable, nor did Yi Wanwan recognize the workmanship and raw material, but she found this ring familiar to the eyes, as though she'd seen it somewhere before. She swiftly walked toward the shelf and grabbed the ring on her tiptoes. The ring was an antique style with a muted color, and a stalk of some unknown plant was carved on the back of the ring. Yi Wanwan furrowed her brows and found this ring more familiar the more she inspected it. A while later, Yi Wanwan's expression shifted. Wasn't this ring the ring Si Yihan handed to her not too long ago? An expert even tried to rob it from her in China. So how did it escape to the library? Did it gain a conscience and grow a pair of legs? Yi Wanwan subconsciously lifted her right arm and examined her finger. The ring given by Si Yihan was innocently sitting on her finger and hadn't gone missing. What's going on? Yi Wanwan frowned with confusion written all over her face. Why were there two identical rings? Big Dipper, Yi Wanwan called. Coming. You were looking for me, Sis Feng? The library's doors were opened instantly, and Big Dipper swiftly darted inside with anticipation on his face. He seemed to be hoping for Yi Wanwan to casually reward him with a few valuable items. I have a question for you. Who did we steal the items on this shelf from? Yi Wanwan asked him. Big Dipper strode forward and surveyed it for a moment before shaking his head. I don't know. The things here should have probably been from the heist you and First Elder pulled a few years ago, Sis Feng. Don't you know how to talk? Yi Wanwan glanced at Big Dipper. What did he freaking mean by heist they pulled? What they did was called work. Call First Elder here. Yi Wanwan ordered. Okay. Big Dipper immediately disappeared without a trace. About 15 minutes later, Big Dipper finally led First Elder to the library. Sis Feng, I found First Elder for you, Big Dipper said with a grin. First Elder looked at her in confusion. Why did you call me here so urgently, President? Is there a problem? First Elder, I can't seem to remember where we obtained this shelf of items from. Yi Wanwan inquired. Chapter 1908. We didn't plunder this. Two identical rings truly sent her mind spinning. Yi Wanwan was certain that these two rings had some definite connection. If she could discover the origin of one of them, perhaps she could figure out the history and purpose of the ring she was wearing. Si Yihan previously said that she personally handed this ring to Si Yihan, and it was her most prized accessory. Combined with the attempted robbery from the expert in China, Yi Wanwan was very curious about the purpose of this ring and its history. This side is it? I did do this one with the president. First Elder walked forward and examined the jewels, antiques, jades, and treasures sitting on the cupboard and sunk into contemplation. Do you still remember where we got it? Yi Wanwan asked. The president and I teamed up only 2 or 3 times, so I still have some recollection. First Elder stared at the cupboard pensively. Maybe we robbed the Shen family. The Shen family? Yi Wanwan was surprised. First Elder promptly shook his head. Wait, no, we robbed the Shen family of gold bricks that time. Yi Wanwan. Oh, I remember. We didn't plunder this, First Elder said. If we didn't plunder this, where did it come from? Yi Wanwan was baffled. Have you forgotten, President? We stole this. First Elder smiled at her. Thinking back on it, it's been a few years. I stole it. Damn. Why didn't I know we did such a wretched and inhumane thing? When has the Fearless Alliance been so shameless to actually commit petty theft? Big Dipper asked in utter shock. Their Fearless Alliance might not be some moral entity, but they always scorned petty theft. Petty theft? First Elder shot Big Dipper a look. You might have some misunderstanding regarding the word petty. Yi Wanwan reflexively looked at the entire cabinet, and the glittering and dazzling jewels and treasures and calligraphy and paintings resting on it. All of that really couldn't be considered petty. Big Dipper also sunk into contemplation, staring at the cabinet, before a realization dawned on him. Infamous bandits. Yi Wanwan ignored him and turned to First Elder. Do you still remember where we stole it from, First Elder? I do. First Elder nodded. We've only committed one theft, and it was from the Nye family. The Nye family? Yi Wanwan was bewildered. Why did they steal something from the Nye family? Wait, her focus seemed to be incorrect. It should be, why did the Nye family have an identical ring? Sis Feng, why did the ring turn into 2 rings? Big Dipper curiously stared at the ring on Yi Wanwan's finger, and the ring she was holding. First Elder, look at this ring. Yi Wanwan handed the ring she picked from the cabinet shelf to First Elder. First Elder accepted the ring and carefully examined it. A moment later he concluded. This ring is indeed very similar to the ring on your hand, President, but it's not identical. Oh, Yi Wanwan was startled. First, the material of this ring is completely different and isn't as valuable as the one you're wearing, President. Second, the workmanship. Although this ring's workmanship is very particular too, it's at least 2 levels lower than the president's ring. Third, the markings behind the ring has several extra strokes. It's hard to distinguish, unless you inspect it carefully. Chapter 1909. Too shameless. After saying that, First Elder handed the ring back to Yuanwan. Material and workmanship were all Greek to Yuanwan, so she couldn't tell the difference. But after First Elder pointed it out, Yuanwan carefully examined the markings behind the ring, and discovered that there were several unnoticeable extra strokes as First Elder mentioned. If she placed the 2 rings side by side and compared them, some minute differences could be seen. If I'm correct, they should be child and mother rings, First Elder said. Alphabet L ring? Letters like A, B, C, D? Big Dipper was dumbfounded. First Elder didn't look at him and continued to explain to Yuanwan. Child and mother rings are a pair of rings with the mother ring as the lead and the child ring as the subsidiary. For example, if the most important token in the Fearless Alliance was a ring, then your ring would be the mother ring, President, representing the highest power. MD as the First Elder might be granted a sun ring if the President Fearless recognized me. This would mean that I'd have the highest status below the President in the entire Fearless Alliance. That's how it'd work. Damn. First Elder, aren't you too shameless? This is blatantly hinting. Wait, no, it's an outright suggestion. Power ring. Child and mother ring. Yuanwan frowned deeply. If it was truly as First Elder said, then the amount of information behind these 2 rings would be too immense. Child and mother ring, just what did they represent? President, I'm not saying this ring represents power or anything. I was just raising an example, First Elder clarified. Are you sure we stole this from the Nye family? Yuanwan was doubtful. Why would they steal? No, why would the Nye family have such a ring? I'm sure. First Elder nodded. Because we've only ever stolen from the Nye family, and everything in this cabinet was stolen from the Nye family. All right. That's all then. Yuanwan waved her hand and left the library. Without a moment's pause, Yuanwan called nameless Nye and asked him to meet her at a nearby coffeehouse. About 2 hours later, nameless Nye fierily entered the coffeehouse, and Yuanwan was sitting in her usual spot. Haha, good sister. Are you planning to buy the antidote? Brother told you that your life is most important. Don't worry, brother won't ask a lot from you since we're all family. But your life is so valuable, sister. If I accept too little, it'd be equivalent to humiliating you and slapping your face. So just give me 100 or 200 million. Nameless Nye fired away hopefully as soon as he sat down across from Yuanwan. Why don't you freaking commit robbery? 100 or 200 million. I'd rather the love goo act up and kill me. It's not related to the love goo and its antidote. Yuanwan stared nameless Nye down. Is there something you're hiding from me? Nameless Nye was startled. How did you know? I knew it. Yuanwan narrowed her eyes. Although I asked for some betrothal gifts from eldest young Master Shin, it's for your own good, sister. Damn, disliking even eldest young Master Shin. Do you want to take off into space? Nameless Nye was agitated. You freaking accepted betrothal gifts behind my back? Fine, I'll give you some. I'll take 70 and you can take 30. Don't waste my time. I'm not talking about that. Let me ask you, do you recognize this ring or not? Yuanwan opened her right palm with irritation. One, child, is a homophone of letter in Chinese. Chapter 1910. What's special about it? It isn't about the betrothal gifts, huh? You should have told me. You scared me to death. Nameless Nye awkwardly laughed and quickly inspected the ring on Yuanwan's hand. Isn't this ring the one you showed me last time? Yuanwan nodded. That's right, it's the ring I showed you last time. Damn. Don't tell me you called me here just for this? Nameless Nye was baffled. My every minute is worth hundreds of dollars. Time is so valuable. Quiet. Yuanwan shot him a look. Do you recognize it or not? Isn't it just a ring? What use could it have? I really don't know. Nameless Nye sighed exasperatedly. You really don't know? Yuanwan suspiciously evaluated nameless Nia. The child ring in the Fearless Alliance's library was a stolen good from the Nia family, so logically speaking, these two rings had an enormous connection as they were child and mother rings. Hence, how could nameless Nia not recognize it as the eldest young master of the Nia family? Yuanwan said. Don't lie to me. I'm asking you seriously. Say, Sister Famous, with our friendship. What's there to lie to you about regarding a lousy ring? I either recognize it or don't. I'm also telling you very seriously that I really don't recognize it. Nameless Nia replied, vexed. Yuanwan carefully studied Nameless Nia. He didn't seem to be lying and really didn't know the history behind this ring. Sister, why do you keep asking me about this ring? Could there be something special about this ring? Nameless Nia was curious. Yuanwan shook her head. How did she know what purpose this ring had? If she knew, she wouldn't need to ask him about it. Then, do you have any recollection of this ring? Yuanwan took out the child ring and handed it to Nameless Nia. Isn't this ring the same as your ring? Nameless Nia was confused. Take a closer look. Nameless Nia observed it some more. A moment later he said, it really is different. Both the material and workmanship is inferior to your ring. Nameless Nia's conclusion was identical to First Elder's, as Yuanwan expected. This should be a pair of child and mother rings. Do you really not recognize them? Yuanwan asked. The child ring was stolen from the Nia family, so if this ring was relatively important, Nameless Nia shouldn't be clueless about it. Child and mother ring? Nameless Nia looked at her with bewilderment. That's right. The one on my hand is the mother ring, and yours is the child ring, Yuanwan explained. Damn. Sister, are you trying to bully your brother for being uncultured? Nameless Nia tossed the ring onto the table. Child and mother rings your ass. They aren't child and mother rings? Yuanwan was surprised. But First Elder clearly said these were a pair of child and mother rings. Of course they aren't. They're obviously a pair of couples rings. Nameless Nia snorted. I previously opened a stall in China and sold accessories, so I'm familiar with this. Carefully thinking about it, when she first met Nameless Nia, he was indeed a street vendor. Couple rings. Yuanwan became more confused. She understood the meaning behind child and mother rings thanks to First Elder's explanation. But what did couples rings mean? Yuanwan chuckled lightly and asked Nameless Nia. What are couples rings? That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.